You seem to still be up there somewhere.
Maybe I am. There are flying saucers.
Supposing they're Martians or something in there.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is...
Jeff Craig.
Jeff Craig, thank you so much for joining me this week. I was thinking about your name the other day and how your name is Jeff Craig, and you're like one of those people that people always refer to you as your first and last name. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody. And I'm like, hey, you know Jeff? And they're like, Jeff. And then I'm like, Jeff Craig? Who? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just all like, it just runs together. It's like one word, Jeff Craig.
It's just one name, right? Exactly. It's your
one
first
name. I mean,
yeah,
it's
first
two
name,
first
Jeff
names
Craig.
anyways. Yeah. Jeff Craig.
But anyway, yeah, thanks for coming on this week. How was your weekends?
Well, weekend, it's a long weekend, and I was much needed. So I've just been kind of recuperating here at the homestead. I was actually, just because I've been gone for the last couple of weekends, and so I took some time to catch up on some things around the house, including cleaning out the garage, which has taken 3 days, and I'm still not done. But it's a small garage, and I've been in the house for 5 years, and it's always just kind of been the place where you throw everything. And so I've got my son's car because he's away at grad school, and it did not take his car because it's in Hawaii. So I'm keeping his car for him, and I'd like to put it in the garage, but there was no room for a car. So my goal is to get the car in the garage by the end of the weekend, hopefully.
Oh, well, good luck. I mean,
I'm getting there. Yep, it's close. But I also have 5,000 maps coming in a few weeks for the next edition of Hidden Ohio. And that goes in my garage on a big pallet. So I also needed to clear out room for that.
Yeah, you can't just have the maps hanging out on the lawn. I mean, that's...
Not good. They don't respond well to moisture.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, you have been gone a lot lately. You went to Hawaii. I saw that.
Yeah,
that looked very exciting.
I had to go because my son is starting grad school. I twist my arm. I had to go.
I know, kids, right? The crazy things they make you do.
Yep, and so I was there for a week. From like a Tuesday to a Tuesday, and to help him get settled, and then we took some time to explore. He's on Oahu, and so that was great. Really cool stuff there happening, and checking out that exotic locale. And then I came back on I left Monday night because there's a 6-hour time change, and ended up getting home Tuesday at like noon, and hadn't slept on that the 2 planes that got me home. And so my time, like jet lag, was pretty bad on the way back. It wasn't bad going there, but coming back was harder. And then worked for 3 days in the office, and then off to Tennessee for the Fearsome Folklore Festival that happened last week. Was that last weekend? Yeah, the 23rd.
How was that one?
It was good. It was outside of Nashville, and Lisa Russell from Cryptid Comforts put that together, along with help from Rick Belcher, who's in the Nashville area, so he's kind of the local connection. And they found a brewery in Murfreesboro that's maybe half an hour outside of Nashville. And so I was inside the brewery, which was nice because it did rain a little bit, unfortunately. But a lot of vendors were outside, and it was hot, and then it rained on and off. But they all had tents and canopies and stuff. But still, it may have kept a few people away with the rain. But otherwise, the venue was nice, and the crowd that showed up was very cool and amenable to checking out all the wares that the vendors had. And then they had some speakers that I was able to listen to since I was inside. and so I enjoyed being able to listen to them because I always miss the speakers when I'm vending because
I
they're usually
know.
in another room. Yeah, you know how it is. So
Mm-hmm.
that was very cool. I got to listen to them from my booth. So it was a one-day event, and I know they're talking about having it again. But Lisa always, does a great job with organizing events because she does Squonkapalooza as well with Joe, and so you know that things are going to be organized. There's going to be communication, and they're going to be considerate. For as a vendor that she is, that she'll make sure like the vendors are taken care of.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
that was
Lisa.
nice.
I mean, a lot of people don't know Lisa from Cryptic Comfort. This is her full time job.
Hmm.
I mean, she goes to all of them. You'll see her
Hmm.
everywhere because this is what she's dedicated to. I think one of the smartest decisions she made, and one of the best decisions for us in this area, was her to move to this general area because she was like all the way out in like Colorado, I think.
Hmm. She was.
And so she's come in and she's kind of taken over, and now she's
Hmm.
got all these little events popping up, and I think it's wonderful. Good for
It
her.
is. It is. Yeah. Yep.
And good for us because the more the merrier, right? That's
It is. Yeah, we got to bring this stuff to the people. If they won't come to
exactly.
us, we'll come to them. So
Yep.
Nashville now has its own little folklore festival, and they're talking about doing it next year. They're looking at maybe a different date, and I'm not sure about the venue yet, but just keeping it. I'm sure we'll mention it or keep an eye out for updates and news on that event
Very
because
exciting.
it's fun, and there's so many dates throughout the year that things conflict. So I know they want to make sure it's like the best time of the year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So very cool. My weekend was good. I have been doing a lot this past weekend, and it's a lot of normal stuff. My daughter, she is in band, and so she had her first performance of the year, which
Mm.
was so she's an eighth grader. She got
Hmm.
to play at the high school football game with the marching band.
Oh, she was out there marching halftime show.
She was, yeah, and so it was a kind of a big deal for her,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that means that also I had to go to a high school football game. Um,
Has it been a while? You forget how fun that was.
oh my god! Well, actually, it's very different now compared to that. Well, you know what? I'll tell you the little city that I live in here. I live here because the schools are good. It's
Yeah.
because we pay a lot of taxes to go
Hmm.
to go towards good schools, and the stadium is like a legit stadium. When I was going to football games, there was like these little teeny tiny bleachers.
Yeah.
And what we did as kids was we walked around the track, around the football field, right? All night long. That's what we did, looking for boys. And there's none of that. The bleachers
Oh.
take up the entire side. There is no track around the field
Oh.
for the kids to walk around.
Yeah.
So underneath the bleachers, I mean, the bleachers is a building. It's not just
Hmm.
bleachers, like it is a
It's
giant
not
building.
empty. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like the kids, they do walk around under the bleachers and stuff, but it was just it was interesting. Yeah,
Mm.
I was around a lot of kids, and I wasn't
Yeah.
quite used to that, so
Right. Right. Yeah.
it was okay. She did great, and she
Good.
had a good time. But now she's talking about joining marching band, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to be one of those parents. This is gonna be my life every week. I don't
Did
know.
you do marching band
I did not
in
do any
school?
band.
No.
No,
Okay.
no. I did drugs. That's
You were
that's
one
what
of
I did.
those
Yeah,
kids.
yeah. I was.
Not that the
Yeah.
band. I was a band kid. I was in marching band, and it's fun. It's a good community. You find your common kind of ground interests, and so music has always been something that I've been involved with. So hopefully
Would you
that's something
play?
that I played the saxophone.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I see. I can see
Yep.
you as a saxophone player.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
That's.
okay. Tenor sax. I started on alto, and then once I got to like eighth grade, they moved me to tenor sax. And then
Very cool.
kept doing that and all through college as well. It was in the marching band. So,
Well, they have this thing now, which we didn't have when I was a kid. So in sixth grade, they have a required class, exploratory music, where the kids they trial every single instrument, and then for the second semester, they pick their instrument, and that's the one that they're on. And then if they continue with band, then they stay on with that instrument throughout
mhm.
their band career in middle school.
Mm.
No, we didn't have anything like that when I was a kid. It
Oh,
was band was purely optional,
hmm,
extracurricular. But
hmm.
this, her band class, it's during school, and so she does it during school hours, and I think
Yeah,
that's
it's one of
really
our periods. Yeah, I had band first
nice.
period and went there early, hung out, and then we had band, and it was a great way to start the day.
I think that's great that they've gone further out of the way to integrate the arts into
Hmm.
the curriculum. That's I think that's really neat. So yeah, so she's I don't know if she'll stick with she's on the trumpet right now. I don't know if she'll stick with it,
Okay.
but she's so far. I mean,
Yeah.
that's her instrument. That's what she's
Yeah.
chosen. So we did that, and then Saturday we went and saw the new Toxic Avenger remake, which I have been
Mm.
waiting for the Toxic Avenger remake for years. Well, it was made years ago, and they were having issues finding somebody to distribute it. Um, and so
Yeah.
they finally did. So we went and saw it. And if you listen to the show a lot, we are a trauma friendly show. No, not just trauma friendly, we're trauma fans, huge trauma
Hmm.
fans, support trauma and Lloyd Kaufman and everything that man does. He's a
Hmm.
national treasure.
Hmm.
But the remake was good. You know, it's not the original, so it doesn't have as much raunch in it as you would get in a
Mm.
typical trauma movie. But you have to remember this is for a mainstream audience,
Yeah.
so they do tone it down, and that's okay. It doesn't take away. You still have the original. You can still watch it and enjoy it while also
Yeah.
enjoying the remake. Um, it's very surreal to see something like Trauma and Lloyd Kaufman, this little indie film, company,
Hmm.
um, go into the mainstream. I mean, it really is beautiful, and I think that we should celebrate that, whether you like the remake or not. I mean, Lloyd Kaufman fucking made it, you guys, and we should celebrate that for him. Good for him, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw that you had seen it. You shared that on social media, and I'd like to go see it. And do you recommend the big screen, or can you just wait and watch it when it streams?
I think that fans of Trauma should go see it on the big screen because it's going to be. I think it's still going to be a tough sell for mainstream audiences. So if you've never seen a Trauma movie and you've never seen the original Toxic Avenger, yeah, I think you could wait. But I think anybody can enjoy it. I mean,
Hmm.
I took my daughter with me. That was, like I said, kind of the highlight. And my little review, that was my highlight of it, was to watch her enjoy it so much.
Yeah, you said. Yeah, I saw you posted, and you said she enjoyed it. So
Yeah, she really
that's
liked
cool.
it, and so that was which mine's 13. I don't take your own 13-year-olds at your discretion. There are titties and two penises, so I
Oh, okay. Yep. Good. Fair warning. Yep. Good. Good to
and
know.
violence, right, and gore. But yeah, I mean, she enjoyed it, and that was a lot of fun. But like I said, I think it's going to be a hard pill to swallow for people who don't get the references, who don't get the humor. But I also think this is going to open up a door for a whole new audience to. Um, get into that type of thing. People have never heard of the original Toxic Avenger are gonna want to watch the original because
Yeah.
they're like, this is my flavor. And
Yep.
I think, like I said, I think that's a really good thing. So definitely, go check that out. And then of course, continue to support Trauma. Trauma has a whole streaming service. It's called Trauma Now. It's $5 a month. You can watch all of their
Hmm.
movies for $5 a month, and you should. You should give your money to them instead of like Netflix or whatever, because
Yeah.
they work their butt off to earn it. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah. It's very affordable.
very affordable. I met Lloyd Kaufman one time at a horror convention, and let me tell you, that man. A lot of people that listen to the show have probably met him because he loves to be with people. It's not like meeting a typical celebrity. He wanted to know about me. I couldn't.
Mm.
I didn't have to ask him anything. Immediately, as soon as I walked up, "What do you do for a living?" He
Oh.
asked. And I told him what I do for a living. Well, I'm a paranormal investigator, is what I
Hmm.
say for the common folk. And
Yeah.
then he goes on to tell me a story about how he stayed at a haunted hotel one time. It was really neat. It was
Oh.
really neat. So
Well, that's refreshing. Sometimes they say, you shouldn't, you're disappointed when you meet your kind of your fan,
Your heroes, yeah.
your heroes. So that's great to hear.
No, he's he is a gem of a human being, and he was all about it. And then I told him about the Mothman documentary, and he's like, "Send it to Trauma. We'll put it out there."
Ooh,
Like, I love
okay.
you. There's no money in Trauma, but there's no money in Mothman anyway, so
Correct.
I might do it. Anyway, and then of course family time. It's Labor Day weekend. We
Yeah.
labored together as a family. And spent time together. And like you said, it's a 3-day weekend, so it's much needed time off. So I've been enjoying that as
Yeah.
well. But yeah,
The
that's what.
weather here, I know you and I are close
Oh yeah.
by here in southwestern Ohio, and we've had an immaculate weather pattern of the mid 70s, not humid, sunny, and
Mhm.
it's just been perfect to be able to enjoy the weekend. I had a friend come over last night. He lives in the neighborhood, and I've known him for. We were in the marching band in college. See, this is how marching band works. You meet your friends, and your friends for life. So he came over, and we had a little bourbon, sat on the deck, and just chit chatted. He wanted to know about my Hawaii trip, and he's got a son in college and one son in high school. So and there's always stuff to catch up on, even though we live in the same neighborhood now, which is very cool. But I did wake up with a little groggy, I will admit, so had to shake off the cobwebs to
You
get
need
the
a
day
little
going.
hair of the dog, more
Oh,
bourbon.
well, what time is it?
It's never too early.
Hey,
it's it's medicine at this point. So
yes, it is medicinal. Bourbon was medicinal during Prohibition, so if it's good enough for a doctor to prescribe, then it's good enough for me. Um, One other thing I did this weekend, and partly because you've been mentioning it, is I watched some of the new King of the Hill.
oh yeah.
Yep, the reboot. So I got through like 4 or 5 episodes, and so that was fun, refreshing little catch up with those characters.
It's good, right? I mean, and
Yep.
surprisingly, I think people
Yeah.
really expected it to be terrible, and it's
Hmm.
it's not.
It's not. No, if you like the original, you're going to just continue where you left off.
Yeah, it is. No, it's a really nice show. Yeah, definitely get through that one. I think I'm going to rewatch it sometime soon. I know that they got greenlit for another season, so I'm excited. I think it's going to
Cool.
be great. Well, which I think they already made. Like the other season's already finished.
Oh, okay.
But they, I mean, it's doing well. So
Yeah.
that's very exciting. Yeah, I think after we get off here, I think I'm going to go actually outside. I'm going to go outside because it has been unusually nice,
Hmm.
right? It's
Hmm.
been. I feel like this whole summer, it's either been too hot to
Yep.
be outside or it's rained.
Yep.
So
I know.
like.
Finally.
Right. So got to take advantage of that. Instead, I'm in here recording right now, indoors. So anyway, getting on to, I don't have any um, traditional news to share. I know that you guys have been, saying your condolences or your grievances with, Tobias leaving the show, but I have been working on, finding another co-host. The show, as far as I'm concerned, and it's my show, I fully intend on keeping it going,
Good.
probably
Absolutely. You
for the
should.
rest of my life. So
We demand it of you.
I
Your
know,
your
it's
minions need weekly Wednesday weirdness.
they do. That's what I say. If there's at least one person that still listens to it, then I'll probably keep doing it. That's who am I to rob them of their simple joys, right? I
Hmm.
can't do that
Yep.
for people. So that is underway. So in the meantime, we're going to have wonderful guests like Jeff Craig, and I've got other people that are coming on. But co-host search is on and in full swing.
Good.
So I've been doing that as well. But because of all this craziness going on, I didn't get to tell you guys, like, one of the most important things that's ever happened in my life is happening. And
What? Well,
yeah,
that
I'm
sounds.
I'm speaking of the Mothman Festival this year.
Oh, Oh, that's amazing.
It's crazy.
That is so cool. Congrats.
Thank you. It
Wow.
blows my mind, actually. When I started doing this, if you guys have been here for a while and you've heard my origin story and how this all started, it
Mm-hmm.
started with the Mothman Festival in
Mm-hmm.
2019. And
Mm-hmm.
here I am. If you would have told me then, hey, here in a couple years, you're going to be speaking here, I'd be like, okay, whatever. And
Five,
here I
six,
am.
6 years. Six.
Yeah, 6 years.
That's
6 years doing it. And so it
that is
is.
a rapid ascension to fame.
In this community, actually, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, from attending for your first time and now speaking.
And now
So
speaking, and it's bigger
that
than ever. That's
it's
definitely a lot bigger than it was in 2019. So
it continues just to increase in size every year.
every year, yeah,
So
it's wild.
when do we go hear you? Where? What time? Do you
Oh,
know all those details?
the details. Yeah, I do. I'm going to be speaking on Saturday the 20th at noon, of course.
Oh,
So
easy to remember. Perfect. Good.
yeah, right there, right in the beginning. You got to get there early. It gets nuts. By
Yeah.
noon, it is going to be very much in full swing.
Yep. Yep.
So definitely come check that out. And of course, I'm speaking about everybody's favorite man from space, Indrid Cold. So,
Of course.
and even if you've heard me talk about Indrid Cold before, this past year has been the year of Indrid.
Mm-hmm.
You still want to come hear me talk about it at Mothman because, as you guys know, when you come hear me speak, I don't do a traditional presentation. There's always something new I'll add just
Mm.
because I forgot to talk about it last time. So.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. I mean, what a perfect place to hear that story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very much on point with the Mothman lore. That's how I got into investigating Indra to begin with, is because it was part of it. So you don't
Yep.
really, if you take it seriously, you don't really have a choice but to do it. I just took
Yeah.
it a step further than everybody else, and befriended the people in question. So
Yeah. Yeah. And will you have your book there for people to
absolutely.
purchase?
Yeah, absolutely. And not just that. So the book will be there. You can come get a signed copy of
Mm-hmm.
it. I will have plenty available, but I'm also partnering up with Cassie, who does tons of art in the community. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you guys know Cassie or not. You should if you don't.
Nope.
But she is working on an Indrid Cold print, which I have seen so far,
Ooh.
and it's fucking beautiful.
Mm.
Really, she just sent it to me yesterday, and it's really really good.
Oh, that's great.
So she's gonna have that. She's also gonna have special Mothman prints, and then also we're gonna have coasters. Cool Indrid Cold and Mothman coasters that you can get, and I'm sure there's going to be some type of bundled deal
Mm.
with all of that. So
Yeah.
definitely come check out my table. And then of course I'm trying to get rid of all of my current stock because now I'm writing books now, so I'm trying to fill it up with books. And so come get a deal on some stickers and some t-shirts.
Oh,
I've got plenty.
oh, perfect. Yeah. And so Cassie will be there with you at your booth?
Cassie will be there with me at my booth. Anne will be there with me, the usual, the cryptid Anne, Potato Anne.
Mm-hmm.
If you are lucky enough, you have seen Anne, but, most people have only heard of Anne and not seen Anne. She is my personal cryptid. So come
Yes.
see if the
Yeah.
stories are true.
Very rare. I think I've gotten a couple of glimpses
Yeah, sometimes, maybe.
over the years. I think it was at Potato Ann.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I am so bummed to not be able to attend. I used to be a vendor there, and I had other commitments with my bagpipe band world. I moved on from marching band and joined a bagpipe band, and so that's my other hobby. And so I was doing stuff with that for a few years, like 10 years ago, and lost my spot as a vendor. And then the festival got huge and took off. It was always great. It was always fun, but now it's just so mammoth.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I go anyways because it's like 2.5 hours away. So I always go down just to see all my friends who are vendors and check out the whole scene. So I'm sorry to miss this year. I'll be at a family wedding out of town. So I'm bummed to miss. I'm bummed to miss hearing you speaking, and I do want to print if Cassie can hold one for me.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
if you can, or if she can. I always enjoy her stuff. And one of the first events I was at, it was a little West Virginia event that Ron and Joe put on. And Cassie was there. And I remember I bought some tennis shoes she had done some art on. And I got them for my daughter. And so that was one of my first experiences, being a vendor with Cassie, and so every time I see her, she always has new stuff and very cool stuff.
Yeah, she's an amazing artist. I'll tell you, the first time I met Cassie I was invited to do this event in Erie, Pennsylvania that was ran by Eric and Carrie. And if you guys know Erie Eric, he does a bunch of art stuff too. And so we drove from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio to Erie, Pennsylvania, and it was in March, and there was a horrible ice storm that was happening. And as we're driving, so Cassie's also an Ohio native, and I had never spoken to her before. But she was messaging me on Instagram, and she was giving me road updates because she knew that we were taking the road, and it was so heckin' nice of her. And then the second time that I actually officially she came down, I was at the Whitville UFO Festival. And it's when we had just started making on Wednesdays, we talk weird fanny packs. And they were on vacation. Her and her family were on vacation, but they took a detour to the Virginia Festival.
I remember that. Yeah.
Buy one.
Yeah, I do remember that they came whirling in quickly to do a quick perusal of the vendors and say hello.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's great. So definitely, come meet Cassie and support her art. She's going to bring her, she makes these emotional support cryptids or emotional support creatures now. And actually they're Mothman. They're big wearable Mothman. And I've been pushing them all over social media because they're just so great. But she is bringing her big wearable Mothman, and you can buy those too. Not at my booth. They're going to be over at Erie Eric's booth, which is right next to the statue with the big tentacles. So you have to come and get. She's only got so many. She can only bring so many, and they're going to sell out. So if you want one of those, you got to come get them. But
it'll sell out.
It'll
Mothman
be.
Tens of thousands come to Mothman. So
oh yeah.
If you go early, bring good walking shoes because you'll be parking a mile away and walking to it. And it's a free event, which is great. And it's like a little street festival, like a city street festival. You can get deep fried Oreos and all your favorite kind of street fair food and drink, as well as seeing all the vendors. And there's always a huge line to get into the museum and a huge line to have a picture taken with Mothman statue. It just floors me every year that the people come from all over.
Well, because you've been going for years, and
I think 2008 was maybe my first year as a vendor.
You've seen it grow.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Which is great. I love that for them. But yeah, it is. But even, like I said, for my first time in 2019, it's triple the size of what it was. Yep. So, I mean, it is, very exciting that I'll get to participate. It's really funny because this past year, so, Jeff, you'll know, there's that booth that's right in front of the Low Hotel that sells the hoodies and the shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
That the woman that helps run it, she's my property manager.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She comes from where you live over to
Yes. Oh. And she's my.
When did you put that
manager.
Connection together?
I walked in one day to drop off my rent or something because I live right across the street from the office, and I walk in and I'm wearing her hoodie. And because I just kind of wear it around I bought it because it had rained the one year and I was freezing to death. So I bought, and they only had a 3X, which is massive on me. And so it's my around the house, it's like my robe. And so I just walked over and gave my rent, and she's like, "Hey, that's my hoodie." And I was like, "Huh?" She's like, "I make that. I sell that at the Mothman Festival." I'm like, "What? No way." And then we got to talking, and that's her.
Wow. What a
Small
small
world.
world it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of a funny, just a weird story. So we've been talking a lot about it. She's, doing her Mothman prep because they sell a lot. I mean, they're
Oh
just,
yeah.
shirts and hoodies, and they sell a ton
Yep.
over there.
Yep.
And I told her I was a speaker, and she's like, "Oh yeah, great," so. uh,
Mothman brings people together.
it does. He does.
He does
We should
it.
be thankful
He
for
yes.
him. Him and,
I
and
mean,
those luscious buns.
I got my start because I doing all of this stuff, the mapping, the mapping the weird places, because I watched the Mothman Prophecies movie in like 2005, and I was floored. I'm like, what is going on? And it piqued my curiosity. I think the next week we drove down to Point Pleasant from here in Cincinnati. Like I said, like 2.5 hour drive. I just had to go there, just even though it happened, 40 plus years ago at that point. But I was just like, what is this is happening down the river from me, or it had happened. And we went down there, saw the statue. I think we were there after hours, so the museum was closed. But took a picture of the statue, and then I went home, and I do mapping anyways for a living. And so I was just kind of dabbling with, what other weird places are around here that I don't know about, and because I hadn't heard of Mothman before that, and then started kind of just plotting things on a map for my own sake, and then I thought other people may want to know this stuff too, and that's why I got started doing this, because Mothman. So
Yeah.
you got to start with Mothman. I got to
Yeah.
start with Mothman, and your property managers. I mean, it's everybody is just 6 degrees of Mothman.
And then it becomes a part of your life, and you're like, how did I end up here?
Yeah, yeah,
Here we are being
yeah.
weird. No, it is interesting. So it's definitely, I mean, being invited to speak, it's definitely been a time period, this past year. I'm not going to get too deeply into it, but I talk enough about like my mental health and kind of where I'm at, what I'm doing with it. Just because I feel like, I don't know, it helps other people that go through similar things. And so,
Yeah.
it's been an opportunity to kind of stop it and take stock over the last 6 years of my life, and what it is that I've done and what I plan on doing going further, and it's all good things, but it just feels very full circle, and I'm like, is
Yeah.
this an end, or is this giving me a reason to get back in touch with my roots and jump more into Mothman,
Mhm.
because I kind of walked away from Mothman for a little while.
Mhm.
Not that I'll ever put it down completely. It's just that, once you learn everything, there's just not much else to learn.
Sure.
But I
Yep.
stopped my projects on it. Mostly because, and it sounds so silly, but other people were doing Mothman stuff, and I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. So I wanted to kind of
Mhm.
give them the chance to
Mhm.
get their stuff out there and seen. But
Mhm.
I feel like maybe this is, like I said, kind of calling me to kind of revisit some things, and so it'll be good. It'll be good
Yeah.
stuff. I'm excited
Well,
for it.
it shows that you're on the right track. I mean, you're you've persevered, and I know sometimes question, why am I doing this, or what's the point, like what am I getting out of this? And not that you have to get something out of it, but I mean, it has to be rewarding for yourself, and so for you to be able to present there, it shows that you are doing the right thing. And Jeff Wamsley probably saw you at Frogman, and said, well, if she's at Frogman, then we have to have her at Mothman Festival.
Exactly. That was it. Yeah, that was the connection that was made. So I mean, and we are going to get into. I'm excited to talk about Frogman, because it's my favorite event of the whole year. So
Oh, I like it too.
yeah, well, I hope you do. I can't imagine being that involved, and
And hating it.
hating the Frogman. Yes,
Oh
Frogman
gosh.
nightmares.
Put this event on again and let people have fun and enjoy each other.
I
Gosh.
know, how terrible. But before we get into that, you have an event right after Mothman Festival. There's a fun event going on that you're going to be speaking at.
Yeah. Yeah. So the weekend after Mothman, September 27th weekend, is the Van Meter Visitor Festival in Van Meter, Iowa, outside of Des Moines. And they've had that festival for several years. I went as a vendor a couple years ago. Made the long commute out from here in Ohio over to Iowa. Gosh, 7 or 8 hours at least, and it was great. I know they have several people that help run it. Chad Lewis invited me to come out and speak, so I'll go to Van Meter and share a little bit of Frogman lore and some other maybe just area cryptids in the Ohio area, Cincinnati, greater Cincinnati, Indiana, Kentucky region, but probably concentrate on Frogman specifically and give the people of Iowa a little lesson on that.
Yeah, the Van Meter Visitor is one of my favorites. One of my favorite cryptids. It really is. It's a really interesting story. I know we've definitely covered it before. Back when we had Chad Lewis on the show, of course, Chad talked about it because he's one of the guys,
He is, yeah.
And I love that they do this, and it also seems to grow every year. Because you've been before, haven't you? I don't know if you've been a speaker.
I did. I was just a vendor a couple years ago. I can't think if it was 2 or 3, to be honest. It's all a blur. Maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago. It wasn't last year. And I just went out. I applied to be a vendor and wanted to expand my locations that I would go to as a vendor, because I originally just had the Hidden Ohio map, so I would just kind of stick to Ohio to do events, or very close to Ohio, like Mothman, which is right across the river. And then when I came out with Map in Black, which is the map of the whole U.S., I could take that and go to a festival pretty much anywhere in the country. Yeah. And not that I have time to go too far away, but Van Meter is probably one that's been like the longest distance for me to attend as of right now. Maybe, like I said, like 8 hours away from me here in Cincinnati. So I went and I met Jeremiah
Byron,
Byron in person, who we had chatted on social media for like a year or two, and I finally got to meet him in person, and I'm sure he'll be back there this year in some capacity. So I'll get to see him again. And when I went the first time, after the event was done, Chad Lewis gave us a walking tour of Van Meter, because it's a very small town. And he showed us where the creature was, and the citizens came out, and shot at it. And then they chased it out of town, and we walked to the location where they chased it into this like cave, like this mine. And we didn't go onto the property, but you could stand in the street and see the rocks in the distance where they chased this creature, and where it apparently vanished and has never been seen since. So, but Chad, it's great. It's small enough of an event where you can just go on this walking tour with him. And then, you go to the pub afterwards and everyone just kind of hangs out. So it's nice. It's a fun event. And, they have speakers as well. Like I'll be speaking this year, and Chad will be talking. And so it's a small little town, and there's plenty of space. So, yeah, it's a good event. If you're anywhere within driving range of Van Meter, come on out the weekend after Mothman.
Well, and I mean, honestly, that's the only Iowa event that I'm even aware of, with these types of things. So, I mean, for people that might be in that area, I mean, this might be your event, right? This is your Mothman every year.
Yeah.
So, definitely check that out and support them. So that way, if it does well and it continues to do well, others may pop up in your area, so you have to support these things.
Yeah, definitely support. Yeah.
So, well, getting into today's topic, I thought as as us both being Ohioans, we would talk about some of the weird things about Ohio. It's weird
Hmm.
because I've done plenty of episodes, maybe about specific cases or things like that, but I've never actually done just a general. I've done a West Virginia episode. I've never done
Hmm.
an Ohio episode, and I don't know why I haven't. But here, I thought this was the best opportunity to go ahead and do that. So,
Yeah.
um, people say it all the time. Ohio is weird, and it is. It is. Now, Jeff, you're not actually from here.
I grew up in Illinois, and then came here to go to college. So I showed up when I was 18 and pretty much never left after that. I mean, I would go home during the summer back to Illinois and then finish college and stayed in Ohio. So I've been here pretty much my whole adult life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because, for a guy who isn't from Ohio, your whole thing is, of course, you're hidden Ohio. Well, that's not your whole
Ohio.
thing, but that's where it started, the
That's
Ohio
that's the
map.
main, yeah, it's the main thing for sure. And it was the first thing I did, and it was just my passion, and it was a labor of love to create that map, and it shows 300 plus. I don't know the exact number right now. 325 haunted spots in Ohio that you can go to. It's not like I have someone's private house. There are plenty I could put on there, but I don't want to put it on the map and then have people like show up at someone's house and like knock on the door, like, "Hey, I see on this map that your house is haunted." But so I pick places people can go to, um, and I mean, when I like I said, I've been in Ohio my whole adult life. I've done mapping in Ohio, for different map companies. Now for the power company and do mapping for them. So I know a lot of the area. I just got to know the area, in a lot of detail. So adding the component of finding haunted spots or cryptid sightings or UFO encounters gave me just a whole new level of appreciation for Ohio geography and the variety that we have in the state. It's a very diverse state, more than maybe people who maybe aren't around here think. If they just fly over Ohio or whatever, they just think it's a boring flat state or farm or cities and farms or something. I don't know what people think, but there are so many cool little nooks and crannies. There are the Appalachian foothills. We do have, the cornfields, but then we have Lake Erie, and then the marshes and swampy area up there. We have big cities, we have little towns, we have suburbs. So we got it all basically.
Yeah.
Forests, and the mountains aren't huge, but they're very scenic, rolling hills in southeastern Ohio. So we get a good variety, and therefore we get a variety of paranormal things that are going on that really can, I think, just be something that anyone might find some part of that interesting.
Yeah.
So come to Ohio, explore it, and do your research and look it up on the map. The map is just a starting point. It's not all inclusive, but it'll get you started on your journey of what's weird in Ohio and where. So I was amazed, and that's again one reason I did the map. I'm like, okay, Mothman. I learned about that. That's weird. And the more I dug, the more I found, and it was amazing that all this strange stuff happens here. And I guess you dig deep enough anywhere, and you're going to find that. But I was happy to find it that it was happening in Ohio, because this is where I live.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I do agree with that statement. I think that, any state that you're in, of course, one of the popular questions I get asked is, if I wanted to get into this, what piece of advice would you give me? And it's always start right in your backyard. Start with
Yeah.
your local weird,
Mm-hmm.
because there's something. And there's so many people that are like, oh, there's not anything. And I'm like, okay, bet. I Google for 5 minutes and I'll find you something. I mean,
Right.
if you
Yeah.
need help,
Yeah.
because there's weird everywhere.
Yep.
People, but Ohio's definitely gained a reputation for having a lot of strangeness about it. And so I don't necessarily think it has more than others, but I do think that. We're also a big cultural mixing pot as well, and that's helped. That's certainly a driving force for more folklore and things like that to take hold. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not going to be like, hey, we're the weirdest state, and you guys should appreciate us, but you should appreciate every state for its weird.
Yeah.
And we're just Ohioans, so we know what's up. When it comes to here. So yeah, let's like I said, let's get into it. Of course, you're the man of the hour, so let's talk about our lovely amphibian, the Frogman.
Frogman, and that was something I didn't know until I started researching the map.
The the
You- you-
Frogman, yeah, it's a weird
I,
one.
I hadn't heard of it until in 2005. I'm researching the map, and I had been in Cincinnati, like I said, since around I came to college nearby at Miami in Oxford in 1986 and graduated in 1990. So I've been and so for 20 some years, I lived my adult life not knowing about the Frogman. And then I started researching this map, and I'm like, there's a Frogman in Loveland. So that made it on the map, of course, as one of the cryptid sightings, and probably the closest one to me here in Cincinnati. Um, and it's so weird because I was a vendor at a it wasn't a cryptid event. It was just like the local Loveland kind of schools boosters for their high school sports
Oh, okay.
put on a market and had like 100 vendors. So I'm like, well, I should do that. So I was like probably one of the only like weird kind of vendors, like paranormal. Everyone else was like selling candles and
Normal people.
normal stuff. Yes. And I had the maps, and I hadn't started the Frogman Festival yet, so it was just before that started. But I had some Frogman stuff, and people are like, "Frogman, what's that?" I'm like, "That's a cryptid here in Loveland. Like, you don't know about it?" And this was probably 5 years ago. And so I'm like, yeah, there's this frogman that was seen, and actually the police shot at it, and they're like, what? I'm like, well, I mean, it was in the early '70s, so I can understand why maybe they're not familiar with it, and that's just kind of your regular folks. But so then, let's say I'm at the Van Meter Festival, in Iowa as a vendor, and people come up and they're like, "Oh yeah, Frogman!" They know it from 500 miles away, but
Yeah.
the local people don't know about it. And I guess it just depends on what you're interested in, because the people that go to the Van Meter are already obviously going to be into that, so it's kind of your audience already. But yeah, so Frogman is just a very elusive cryptid that's been seen just a handful of times, and there's what, 3 or 4, maybe 5 stories over the
Yeah.
years. I know in one episode you were diving in, to it a lot, and covered some of the events that really no one else talks about. It was a couple of the sightings that don't get the usual kind of retelling that I found interesting. When you were talking about it on your show.
Yeah.
A
Well,
couple of,
we'll cover. So, like, basically what people know, the popular stories about the Frogman are the two most popular encounters. It's the one that took place in the 1950s with a businessman
Yep.
who was, driving down the road and came up to a bridge in that area and had seen these weird creatures standing off in the
Mhm.
distance, where, that were they looked very, well, actually, they didn't really look frog-like at all. These,
They didn't. I mean, I think it was the drawing was like there were no lips, and the mouth was like a straight line, and maybe they had a greenish tone to their skin or their outfit or whatever they had on.
Yeah.
So a sort of reptilian like mouth, or not that frogs are reptilians, but
Right.
amphibious kind of mouth, and it, the initial sighting was just a UFO encounter. It wasn't a frog. That didn't start the Frogman story, but when the cops shot at it, people kind of looked back and like, oh wait, remember that UFO encounter?
Right.
Maybe, and so they kind of brought that into the lore as sort of kind of a roundabout way.
Yeah, and tied it together.
Tied it in.
The kicker of the original businessman story was that one of these three beings, had like a wand or something and was like waving it around, and that guy, he wasn't sticking around to find out what they were doing. He left, He's like, it's too weird for me.
Right.
And like you said, people just kind of buried that, and it wasn't just the one. So there was a lot of UFO activity happening in that area at that time. And so, but again, people just weren't really, there was no internet back in the 50s, and this wasn't something that there's a lot of stigma surrounding seeing weird events, experiencing weird things. And so you didn't have a bunch of people really talking about these topics at that time. And so it just kind of got buried, and people's, in the obscurity of it, it just kind of got buried. And then we had the 1970s Ray Shockey, encounter where he is out patrolling around the boot factory and sees this strange creature walking on two legs crossing the road there in front of him.
Yep.
And hops the guardrail. And even Ray Shockey, he didn't describe it as a frog either, but he did describe it as more reptilian. Like you said, it had no visible lips and, weird green skin, and it just kind of, and it wasn't huge. I believe it was only like 3 to 4 feet tall.
Yeah. Right.
And it hops the fence, and then, he goes on to tell his police buddies about it. And this is kind of where things got a little strange, because it was another one of his police officer friends who claims to have not only seen it himself, but to have shot whatever it was. And confirmed.
Why not?
Took the body to Ray and confirmed that that's what it was he saw. And that police officer says that what he saw was an iguana without a tail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then that story kind of gets buried, and that police officer who claims to have shot it continued to publicly speak on this didn't happen. It was just, it did happen, but he was just mistaken. And that was the story. And so a lot of people now, especially when you listen to other podcasts and things, even some other researchers are like, well, the Frogman's completely debunked, but you guys, it's not. And here's why. So I was reading a book, of course I heard that story too. I was reading a book. It's called It Came from Ohio, by a man named James Renner. And
James Renner.
Yep. And James had written about it. Now, James is not he's not an investigator. He's not a paranormal writer. He doesn't usually write about these topics. He actually is more of a true crime kind of writer.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. And so why he wrote this book, I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't ask him when I talked to him, but he did.
Did you talk to him at Frogman last year, or
I did.
a couple years ago?
Yeah, I definitely did. And so
because he's a vendor. He's a vendor there every year.
Yeah. And so
two out of the last 3. Yeah.
We got to talk this year. Well, I think the year before he had something happen and he couldn't make it. And
correct.
So,
broke his leg or something.
Yeah. And so, because I was real excited to talk to him, because this is where I got this bit of information from. So in his book, he's a journalist, and when he's looking at these topics, I mean, he's doing his research. He's doing a really good job at it. And he mentions how he couldn't get a comment from Ray Shockey himself, but was able to locate Ray Shockey's parents and sat down with them, and they said he saw something, whatever it was. He saw something. And, and he just went along with the story because he didn't want to get made fun of anymore. People were kind of cracking on him and stuff. And that's that. So that kind of reignited for me, like, the curiosity of, well, what happens?
Yeah.
So
what the heck did he see?
Exactly, right. What
Yeah.
was it that he saw then? I mean, just, tell us and let's go from there. Well, I ended up talking with James, like I said, this past Frogman Festival. And of course, we're going to talk about Frogman Festival here in a moment. I know you guys keep hearing us talk about it, but we will. So I talked with James a little bit further, and he actually confirmed that, well, he actually did interview Ray Shockey directly and did not put his information in the book out of respect, but he just basically confirmed what the parents said. He saw something and it was
Mm,
weird.
yeah.
And it really messed with them. And so, but again, same thing, because of the stigma, because of the joke of it all, did not want to continue telling people what he had seen and
Yep.
wanted to just kind of forget that it happened. And that was that. And so there's definitely a lot more to this, than I think people realize. And then I got right before the first Frogman Fest, like a week before the first Frogman Festival, I got a direct report of a frogman sighting from somebody that happened in the 90s.
Yeah.
And, they said they were just a bunch of kids. They were throwing rocks into the river down there in Loveland.
Hmm.
And there was a huge rock in the water. And so it was nighttime and they're just throwing it at the rock. And after a couple times of them throwing this rock at the big rock, it stood up and hopped off.
What?
Yeah, it stood up and hopped off. And that was it was fun because I got to share it because I was like, I got that report and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna present this at the festival. Nobody knows about
Yeah.
this. This is exciting.
Right.
So I got to
Yeah.
share it, there that day with the audience, and so that was fun.
Yeah.
But that I feel like there's probably more, and having this festival, I feel like is kind of reigniting that a little bit
Yeah.
and jogging some people's memories. And not just that, but like what's up with the UFO activity in that area. Because I feel like there probably is, there being a gigantic bipedal frog just living in the area, that's not happening, right? I mean, it's just not. There's no evidence of that, but it doesn't mean that something strange isn't happening. So that part's exciting to me. So anyway, going back into Jeff, what made you so compelled to create a whole celebration surrounding this weird guy?
Yeah. Yeah. I had been a vendor at all of these other events, Mothman initially, and then I'd go, to a Bigfoot conference here or there. I'd go down to Cryptid Con in Lexington and, Van Meter. And I'm going to all these different places, and um, they're celebrating their local cryptid. And then, I come back to Cincinnati and like, there's nothing going on around here, but we have this really cool, like people love the Frogman all around. Like, I go to Iowa and I go other places, um, I'm telling them I'm from Cincinnati, and like, yeah, that's where the Frogman is, and I felt like we needed to bring that to light more. So, in a way, celebrate it, I guess, or just keep that story on the front burner. Um, so I'm a vendor for the most part at events. I've run events for other groups that I'm involved in, so I'm familiar with that. So I kind of just brought those two skill sets together that I've kind of just been developing over the years. And like, well, I've put together events for like fundraisers for like my bagpipe band and stuff like that. We're a nonprofit group, so we would have a bagpipe kind of party. This called a ceilidh, if anyone knows what a ceilidh is. That's a Scottish Gaelic word for basically for a musical gathering or party. So I've been doing that on and off for a couple of decades, honestly. Finding venues and figuring out how to, break even and do all this stuff. So, and then here I am being a vendor, going to other people's events. So it was just kind of a natural Venn diagram, like bring those two things together, and what you get is Frogman. So I was at the Withville UFO Festival. I think the first year they had it, because you were there.
Yeah.
Because we hung out with the Blue Room guys.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yep, in the like hotel front sidewalk area.
That's right. We
Uh,
drank outside. Yeah.
we did. Um, and yes, that was the first year, and I'm a vendor there, and I'm getting ready, just on my own, to write a letter to the city of Loveland, telling them I'd like to have a an event that celebrates or tells the story of the Frogman. And I had a draft in my Gmail. I hadn't sent it, but for some reason, I wanted to think about it and maybe tweak it or whatever. And then I'm at Withville, and the night before, Friday night, I'm in this little hotel room in Withville, and I'm watching that show with Shatner. What's it called?
Oh, unexplained or the
Yes,
unexplained or
the
something.
unexplained, with the big capital X,
Yeah.
um, and they're running a whole like they're just running like reruns of it, like on every half hour or every hour, however long the show lasts. But then at like 8 p.m. they have a new episode, and it's about like the moon-eyed people of North Carolina, and they have this guy on who's like one of the, I guess, experts, and it's Dr. James Stamey, I think is that his name?
Yeah.
I'm drunk.
Stamey. Yep.
And John Stamey, I'm sorry. And so I didn't know who John Stamey was, but there he was on TV. So I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. The Moon-Eyed People. And they've got this doctor, Dr. John Stamey. And so that was interesting for me to learn. And so then the next morning I wake up, I go to the festival, and I put my booth together. And it's a busy day for the most part. They did a great job, and putting it together, Robin and Brian.
Yep.
And
Robin and Mr. Robin. Yep.
yes, right. So, but in the afternoon, this guy comes up, and he's standing in front of me, and I'm looking at him, and he says hello, and I'm like, hello. I'm like, you were on my TV last night. It was Dr. John Stamey in front of me in person. He was at the event. He was a vendor. And
Wow.
I'm like, I saw you on TV last night. And he's like, oh, yeah, that was me. And I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, well, I've got a booth. I'm a vendor. So we get talking, and I'm like, John, I want to do a Frogman Festival. And I'm like, I'm about to contact the city and see what, we can work out. And he's like, don't send that letter. Don't email that message. I'm like, why not? He's like, you don't need to. You can do it yourself. I'll help you. So that was it. That Frogman Festival was on my mind. I was looking at maybe trying to get it going, and Dr. John was the impetus to help make it happen. So from his remote location, he was in, I think, South Carolina at the time. And I'm the local guy, so I got everything arranged, and we put it together, and you emceed and presented, as you do every year, and as you will this coming year. So that's how it all. That was kind of the founding sort of mythology of the Frogman Festival. Just to do something because it's in my own backyard, and it's a great story.
Yeah. Really, I mean, thank you for letting me be involved. It's been, as somebody who goes to these events and speaks at these events, of course, this is the first one I've seen is like from a baby to a toddler and now a teenager, right?
Yeah.
I've watched it grow up, and it really is amazing. I mean,
It
it's
is.
just blows. I mean, I've been to other good events, and it's great, but I don't know. Like I said, to watch this one, maybe it's because it's local to me, and so it's near and dear to my
Yeah,
heart.
probably.
But to see it be just from the get go, from the first year, it's people love it. They really do. They really get into it.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
they do. They do. And, Cincinnati, I think, is just a good town that embraces it, and Loveland area. Loveland's a suburb of Cincinnati. So the whole metro area, I think they embrace it. They enjoy the weirdness of it. The local sort of arts and entertainment weekly newspaper called City Beat always does a story on it, which is great. I appreciate them so much that they'll write up an article about this year's speakers or what's new about the festival or whatever, and it just helps bring publicity. But it's a great way that the local media supports this event.
Yeah.
And it's a great kickoff to spring. It's indoors. It's in early March, and it kind of everyone's ready to get out of the house because we've kind of wintered, inside, indoors for the most part, and this is a first chance to get out there. It still might be a little bit cool, but it's spring in Ohio, southern Ohio, and so it's the weather's generally been okay. And again, it doesn't matter because it's indoors, but it's a good time of year to have it. Kind of kick off the year in the cryptid community.
Oh yeah, I think it is. And so far, the weather's been great every year for it, and so we've gotten very, very lucky because you never know in March in Ohio.
You don't, and that's just one of my few things I can't control, but you worry about. There are freak snowstorms, and they've happened in March, or they've even probably happened in April, but they don't last long. It might snow, and it might snow a lot because it's going to be more of a moist sort of weather front that comes through at that time of year, so it's going to dump more snow, but it usually melts within a couple of days. So
yeah,
just the hope is that if it does snow, it's nothing major, to shut down the roads. Now, the first year, there was a tornado the night before.
Was there?
Nearby that hit maybe the next county over, but we got those storms that went through the night before. It didn't really affect us too much. The vendors were setting up that night before, but I think they had all gotten set up before the rain came and the storms. But yeah, there was a tornado nearby that the night before, over in Blanchester or something like that, which is east of Loveland. Yeah.
Well, that's Ohio for you. It could either be a snowstorm or a tornado
or tornado. Yeah, exactly. It could be all three in one day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's I had no idea that. Well, like I said, every time it happens, every year, it's it just knows that it's Frogman Festival weekend, so it doesn't dare, right?
Yeah.
Mother Nature participates as well, but no, yeah, it's definitely a great, a really great event. That was the first event where I just got up there and did the damn thing. Like I said, my presentations are weird because I don't do, typically you'll have people that do the slideshow thing and the big, I don't do that. I just get up there and talk.
Yeah.
And that
great.
was the first time I ever did it and I was nervous. I was like, man, what if this doesn't go well? But I didn't really even have a topic in mind for that one. I just was like, you know what, I'll just talk about all the things I've done and we'll go from there. And people loved it. And I was like, I think this works. And I think that people enjoy that extra personal step because it does feel more intimate than just, I'm going to like a professor give you a lecture. It humanizes the entire experience a little bit more. And then I did the one about the other frogmen from around the world, and there's a lot of them. And I was surprised I didn't know until I dug into it. And I think other people were surprised to hear it too. But yeah, there's not just the one Loveland Frog. There's others.
He's not alone. He's got friends.
He does. So so you never know when he'll be back. I mean, that's the kicker of it. So I know that I want to talk about some other Ohio things. Obviously, Frogman, we're both, again, very familiar with. What's in store for the coming Frogman Festival?
2026, we're back at the same place, March 7th. We're doing one day. Last year we expanded to 2 days, and that was great. It worked fine, but just kind of polling the vendors and just kind of getting the overall consensus. I could have done either. I don't think anyone would have been mad if I continued 2 days, but
Sure.
I think one day can capture it all right now. It'll be busy, and it was busy this year on Saturday. It wasn't as busy Sunday, but it was steady for the
Yeah.
most part. So, and that gives people a chance to come out on Sunday. I know people work on Saturday sometimes, so people appreciated that. But this year we are going to go back to one day, so Saturday is your one chance. Now we may do a few things around that. So I was just talking to Anthony Cousins. He was at the Fearsome Folklore Festival, and he produced and directed the Frogman movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we've shown that the last 2 years in the evening as a separate screening. So he is going to have Frogman 2.
Oh.
And he said it will be ready. So we are going to screen Frogman 2, still finalizing how that will happen. We want to maybe...
Is it premiering it, or it... Okay.
That I don't know, but I will find out. Certainly premiering in this area. I highly doubt he'll be coming around to the area to show it. So whether you can stream it or find out about it in some other way, I'm not sure. So I'll get the details from him because it's not ready yet. So it might depend on when it's ready and when he can start showing it in other capacities. But it'll certainly be a local premiere for the Frogman 2, and whether we do it Friday night or Saturday night or both nights, we probably want to show the original Frogman movie as well, because people keep wanting to see it. So maybe we'll show that one night and then Frogman 2 the next, or maybe we'll do a double feature. That is to be determined, but just keep an eye on frogmanfestival.org. And we'll have the information up there or the social media that we have for Frogman on Instagram or Facebook. So that's one component, and that's not. And he'll be there at the festival along with some of his crew, and usually brings a couple of the actors that are in the movie, and they'll have a booth at the festival, so you can buy the movie and on DVD, or he even has it on VHS. And you can meet some of the actors and he has some other stuff. He's got movie posters that Easton Hawke does for that movie that are very cool, and some other goodies as well. So that'll be Frogman movie stuff. And it's fiction. It's, kind of found footage. The first one was kind of a found footage sort of movie, horror movie. And I'm not sure if the second one will be in a similar capacity, but so I know nothing about it. I don't know if it's a follow-up or a second story of people that encounter a frogman, so we'll just have to wait and see. So that's the Frogman movie. We've already announced Charlie Newshaw will be coming to talk, and he's from Arcane, Carolinas. So I'm excited to have someone from a different region come in and share some stories about things going on in other parts of the country. I try to mix it up, have local people and bring in one or two people from different areas. So definitely want to support local people that are into this. And just to have a balance of different people. So,
well, if you get the same people every single year, then people stop coming because they've heard it. So
yeah, and you present every year, and you like you said, that first year you just sat down and had a conversation, and that's a unique skill set that most people can't do and don't want to do because. For a lot of reasons, it's nerve-wracking to some people, and that's why they need to have their notes and this and organize, and that's great. I mean, that's the way I generally do things. I have a set plan of what I'm going to talk about. I didn't today coming on. I just knew we would wing it and be able to talk about anything, and I'm comfortable with that too. But I've been doing this long enough that I'm more comfortable now, not needing an outline. So, for
I'm
you to be able to do that.
I'm a nervous talker, so it works for me because when I get nervous, then I start sharing. It's when I have the presentation that I blank.
You're the opposite.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it works.
And that's
It works
great.
for me.
It works. Yeah. So Charlie will be coming, and you'll be there. I've invited Jim Willis back, and Jim will have a spot every year. He's an old friend, and we go way back to when I first started researching Hidden Ohio. I connected with James with his paranormal ghost hunting group called Ghosts of Ohio, GOO. Goo. And I was a member of the Ghosts of Ohio for many years, and we'd go out and do the ghost hunting sort of stuff, all for free. And then try to charge people. It was all to help people. Honestly, we'd go to private residence, and then we'd have fun and go spend an overnight at like Mansfield Reformatory or Waverly Sanitarium in Louisville. And then one night, James and I, for his book, spent the night at the Loveland Castle, actually.
Ooh, nice.
And he set up all the recording equipment. So James will always have a spot. And, Frogman is one of his really fascinating stories that he's always been interested in. And he's not a native of Ohio either, but he's been here a long time. So when he came here, he became intrigued with Frogman, has done a ton of research, and so people are always excited to see Jim. So whether they've seen him or not, people come back to listen again, and he may, change a little bit of what he talks about, but he's always continuing to dig deeper. And I listened to his talk this past year. I don't always get to go in and sit and listen to the speakers because I'm busy, running the rest of the event.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. So, but I try to get people to help me do that, so I can go in and just his research and his finding firsthand sources, the original articles or whatever, is really has impressed me. So he'll continue to have a spot at the event as long as he wants to. So you and he are the two annual regulars, I guess you could say.
Well, and it's funny because because having James Wills there, I mean, that's a full circle moment for me as well, because one of my first forays into the paranormal is because I saw him in high school he talked at the local library.
Yeah.
And I bought his Weird Ohio book. And then, with all my friends, who would go joyriding based off of the areas in that book. So it was very surreal to present him at the Frogman Festival.
That is full circle. That is so cool that you saw him in high school.
In high school, yep.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if that makes him and or I feel old, or you're still a spring chicken. I don't know.
I'll take it because I feel ancient. So
yeah. I have another guest I've not announced, but I would like to right now. And it's someone and it's actually someone that you suggested to me, and I don't know if you remember suggesting it, but I wanted to reach out, and it turns out he was next to me at Fearsome Folklore as a vendor.
Ooh.
So I asked Sherwin.
Very nice. Very good choice.
Speak, yes. Do you remember when you mentioned him as a possible speaker to
I
me?
don't, but I
Sure.
do believe I probably did because I love Sherwin.
Yeah. I don't know. We were just having a conversation, and you mentioned something about how he just has a really vast array of knowledge on a lot of different cryptids from around the world,
Yes.
The Philippines and East Asia, and that I think would be really cool because cryptids from East Asia, South Asia, Japan, and other countries, I think will be interesting to see how they experience cryptids, and he'll be the perfect person because he has a card game based on some of these cryptids that he's created himself, and he's a great talented artist, so he does that first and foremost, does art, and he'll be a vendor there, so you can buy his art, but then he'll come up and give us a talk on these vast array of cryptids that many of us probably have never heard of. Maybe
Oh yeah.
some of us have because we're deep into it, but I think for a lot of people that attend this, it'll be a next level of cryptid knowledge for them to get to listen to and experience.
No, I think that's a fantastic choice. Really, Sherwin is a very underrated person in this
Mm-hmm.
community, and not for just because he's overlooked or anything. He's just
Mm-hmm.
very humble, and
Yes, he is.
I don't think he understands like how smart he is. Like I don't think but he's always every time I've talked to him, I've learned something new, and that's
Right.
that's big for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's and like you said, mentioning other cultures and how they experience these things, I think is a wonderful thing because we don't talk about that enough. And one of the gripes that you'll hear from the skeptics of some of these stories here is, especially with UFOs, for whatever reason, they're like, why is UFOs only like an American thing? And it's like, well, it's not. It's just that you
Yeah.
don't know that it's not. So I think that's very cool.
Yeah. I'm excited. He loved the idea, and so gave me a thumbs up at the event last week, and I had wanted to ask him, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to see him in person. I didn't know he'd be right next to me, but
Yeah.
he was, so it was perfect. Oh, that I'm just thinking like that's the best time to ask him. So I did, and he was excited, and he was coming anyways as a vendor, so I knew he'd be there.
Sure.
And so yeah, just to give the crowd this. Just different voices. There's a lot of people that do the circuit, and that's great, and go around to different events, time and time again, and that has its place. But I certainly want to allow people the chance to get up there and share what they know and share what they love, and it's all about the people who are passionate about it. And if you're passionate about it, then I want you to share that and be involved.
No, and I always think you have a great selection every year. And I might be a little biased because I'm one of them, but um, and you asked me for my opinions too, and that no, but I really do. I mean, you have a good mix of people telling local stories, of course, like you said, having the people come from afar, sharing what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And then of course you've got oh my gosh, the wildlife lady. I can't remember her name.
Aaron Shaw.
Yeah, she's been coming the last couple years, and that
She's been every year. She was a speaker the first year.
Yep.
And then I've had her back just as sort of the animal lady because she's a state park ranger.
And I love that she goes on and she talks about just kind of the local animal activity and things like that, and it's a good grounding talk for people.
It is,
especially when you want skeptics to come in and take this type of thing seriously. You want to be able to show it's not just all woo, right? There is some basis in reality here. So
well, I'm always like, if you think you want to learn about the weird stuff in your neighborhood or your region, like Frogman, or if you live in Wisconsin, you want to learn about the Bray Road monster or the Hodag, which is a little more tenuous of a story, but still, wherever you are and you're wanting to dig into this stuff, I hope you already know what's actually out there.
Exactly.
Do you know the flora and the fauna? Do you know the reptiles, the mammals? Do you know their habits? Do you know what they sound like? And you don't have to be an expert, but you should at least have some core knowledge before you start talking about how Bigfoot's tromping through your woods if you don't know what else is out there. The most common mammal in our neck of the woods is the flying squirrel. You never see them. They come out at night and they live high up in the trees. I used to live on a 70-acre plot of land out near kind of by Serpent Mound, and most of it was wooded, and I never saw a flying squirrel, but apparently that's the most common mammal that would have been in my woods. Did I go out at night? Yes, plenty of times. Did I see Bigfoot? No, I didn't, but I saw everything else. My son saw a bobcat. I saw a deer, of course, turkey, mink,
Yep.
beaver, muskrat. They had it all out there, and lizards and eastern fence lizard, I think it's called. It's our biggest lizard. So, and then I identified 150 birds that I had on my property. So I enjoy that. I mean, I'm a little bit of a nature nerd. So I got this Ohio Certified Volunteer Naturalist certification about 10 years ago, where you can just sign up and you go to these classes, and it's run by a park ranger, and mine happened to be Erin Shaw, which is how I got to know her. So she was my teacher, and there was a group of us, and they teach you about local frogs and the local trees and invasive species, so like what shouldn't be there and maybe how to control it or what to grow in your yard that's natural. So it's a grounding of our natural world. So that should be the basis. That should be your base map for what and then add on the weird stuff and see how that fits in there. Can it fit? Is it plausible that we have a 4-foot frogman? Can that exist? What would it eat? How many insects does it need to eat? I'm not doing the math on it. I mean, I'm not that much of not doing equations on.
Yeah, I'm not that nerdy. Damn.
But still, you should at least
Try.
make sure No, I mean, just if you're going to be talking about Bigfoot in your woods, just make sure you know what are the common trees in your area and that's how I feel. So to have Erin Shaw at the event she brings turtles and snakes, and she has some other volunteers she brings with her, and they talk about the local flora and fauna. Yeah, it helps educate people to what we know is out there.
Sure.
So the Little Miami River Valley, which is where the Loveland is really a very cool area, and it's a state and national scenic river. So it's got some protection. Is it because they know something needs to be protected?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like that.
Or is it just because it's scenic and kind of and an important river that flows all the way up from kind of central Ohio all the way down, kind of almost near you,
Yeah.
and then takes a turn right around like Yellow Springs, I think, and comes down east of Cincinnati and flows into the Ohio River. So it's an Ohio River tributary.
Yeah.
And so so that's the Little Miami River. And then if there's a Little Miami, you think, well, there must be a Big Miami. And there is. It's called the Great Miami River. So that's a wider river, slower flowing river, and that's west of Cincinnati. And that flows right through Dayton as well. So those two rivers, I don't know if people get them confused, but there's the Great Miami and the Little Miami River.
Yep.
So
Lots
that's
of
your
bodies
geography.
in there.
Lots of what?
Lots of bodies.
Bodies of yeah. Cincinnati's downstream from Dayton, so yeah, they all kind of float down from Dayton, I guess.
They'll make it down there eventually. No, it's well, and what you're saying about kind of knowing what's in the area. I mean, that is as an investigator, I just took a report of a big winged animal or creature that somebody had encountered, and one of the first questions, of course, to the witnesses is where do you live? Where was this that you saw this at? And, once I found out where they were and then started kind of researching what was in the area, because one of the kickers of the entire thing was that they saw this a bird bigger than anything they had ever seen before. But what was really weird about it was that it had this weird tail. And they had never really seen anything like it. It was kind of stiff, and it was just very, very strange. So they couldn't think of a bird that could look like that. Well, After researching a little bit, I did find that a specific type of heron is known to be in that area. And so, I'd kind of, sent them pictures of that heron. And that's what it ended up being. They're like, yep, that's what it was. But of
Good
course,
for you.
at
That's cool.
first, thank you. Yeah, at first they thought it was something anomalous because they were unfamiliar with that animal being in that area.
Yep.
And herons do have really weird legs. So
They do, and they do have a huge wingspan.
they do. Yeah, it was
So,
very big. And so, and they're not actually, so they're not necessarily native to the area, but migratory to that, pass through that area. And so they're not typical, but it is a very important part of what you do when you get into cryptozoology. You can't identify a frogman if you can't identify a frog. That's just the way it is.
yeah.
So you gotta know. Any other Frogman Festival announcements at this time?
Not at this time. Just
Okay.
stay tuned because there will be another speaker or two to fill out the day. We've got the 50 plus vendors who many are returning, a few cannot, so I'll have a few new ones there. So there's always a little bit new. Cryptid Camp will be the main sponsor again this year. Who have a card game. They kind of evolved out of MetaZoo. A couple of the folks that had been in MetaZoo, not those guys. The ones I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But Emilio and Erica Fett is involved to some extent, and so they'll be back as a primary sponsor and have some great cryptid cards for people and maybe some special cards as well. So stay tuned for that info as Cryptid Camp decides how they want to kind of help celebrate the legend of Frogman this coming year. And tickets are on sale at an early bird discount. If you go to frogmanfestival.org, you can grab a ticket for under $15, which when you show up the day of, it's $20 at the door. So you're going to save at least $5 if you order now. Kids are free. Just have to get them signed up. And if you buy like a ticket for yourself in advance and you're bringing your kids, just sign them up so we know numbers. And obviously people can show up the day of and buy tickets at the door as well. We don't sell out, so don't try to buy your tickets from some scalper because it's probably a scam.
Yeah, that would be wow. Can you imagine
Yeah.
it gets so big that people are buying fake Frogman tickets?
Yeah, I mean, people,
It
anytime,
happens.
they must like watch for ticket sales or the word ticket, and then they'll say, hey, I can't make it. I've got 3 tickets for sale, but it's always a scam. I see it like for rock concerts too. I'm like, really? They're doing it for Frogman?
That's how you know you made it.
I guess so.
I love that. Love that for the Frogman Festival. We'll be there. I'll see you guys there. But what can you do if you come into Frogman Festival? You're coming to Ohio. What else can you check out in the general area that is also along those same lines, right? Maybe you make it a long weekend. You get in Friday morning and you leave Sunday evening. There's definitely a lot of things to experience. You kind of talked about the Loveland Castle. Of course, is probably the closest thing there.
It's very close, and it is haunted. It's haunted by the guy who built it, Harry. And Harry passed away in the 1980s at an old age. I think he was in his 80s. But he built the Loveland Castle. For people that don't know, it's this little castle on the Little Miami River in Loveland. And he built it one brick at a time. And over the course of like decades.
His whole life, I think, yeah.
His whole life. He went off to World War One or two.
I think
I don't know which one.
two.
It had to be 2.
I think so.
It had to be 2.
If he died in the 80s, I think so.
Yeah. Well,
maybe not. Could have been 1.
yeah. I should know this, and I know I've written it, but
Same, yeah. And here we
and
are.
I'm just drawing a blank. But anyway, he was in Europe, and he saw the castles of Europe, and I think he might have been like an ambulance driver, And I'm sure a quick Wikipedia check would tell you all this, but he fell in love with the castles, came back and wanted to build one and live in it. So he took milk carts, like we used to get milk delivered or whatever, and he would make bricks out of the mud from the Little Miami River, one brick at a time, and built the castle like big blocks, like not like a little brick, but like a bigger block.
Like 4 bricks in one.
Yeah, pretty much that size. And built this castle, and it was just a continuing project. I think he was still working on it when he died, and he bequeathed it to the Boy Scouts, and so they run it now. I think they call themselves Knights, Knights of the Castle, so they run it. Now, the hours are a little weird, so in early March, I'm not even sure if they're open.
Oh.
And I'm not sure. And I should reach out to them and like, listen, guys, you need to open for the weekend of the Frogman Festival. And I will do that. Or if anyone knows the people that run it, please like help me get in touch with them or whatever. They're open now during the summer. So I'll reach out now. And they might be open. I'm just not sure. I've never bothered to check but I don't think they are that early. I think they kind of, because that's kind of their off season, in the winter time. So, but it's a cool castle. You go check it out and just see the story of Harry. So James and I spent the night in the castle, and James brought all the ghost hunting equipment to see if we could find evidence of Harry, moving around or being present. So there were a few little things that I know James said that he found in reviewing the evidence, but nothing concrete. Obviously, otherwise it'd be all over the news.
Did you sleep at all while you were there?
No.
No, I wouldn't be able to.
Nope. No, and we were watching the equipment, and
Sure.
we were walking around and walking around checking out the ground. So I took a really cool picture, and it's on the cover of I think my second edition of Hidden Ohio Map. If anyone has the orange one. That with the lights on, and it's kind of a night picture. So I put that on the front cover as one of the pictures on the cover of the Hidden Ohio Map. So if you see it, you'll now know that that's the night that I spent inside the Loveland Castle.
Wow, very cool. I'm jealous. I want to spend the night there. I mean, I guess I could, right? I just got to reach out to them.
Yeah, I think you can reach out. And James was writing a book, and Kent State University Press was like the publisher, so he had some credence to say, hey, like I've got this book that has a publisher already, and I've written other books, so I'm just not some Joe Schmo that just wants to spend a night in a castle.
I get by on a lot by telling people to just Google me, and it works so far.
Yeah,
all the time. So
that's where we are in this day and age. You can just Google right then and there, and like, okay, yeah, you are who you say you are. So even if it's closed, you can't really drive by because you have to kind of drive down and around to see it. So if they're not open, you're kind of out of luck, unfortunately. But if you're around the area other times of the year, check out Loveland Castle.
Yeah, that's very cool. They don't have a bathroom, be forewarned.
Yes,
I don't know where Harry was making at the time, but
good point.
But just know that before you go.
These are the hard-hitting questions. We need to find the answers out.
Yeah, because I thought, hey, I'm just going to go to this castle and I'll just pee when I get there. Nope, that was tough.
Well, I mean, the river's right there.
And I thought about it. I did, but there was families. I'm going to go to jail that day, so But no, that's a really neat one. I actually brought. I thought it would be cool because, of course, we have Bigfoot. That's another really big one in Ohio, right?
It is.
We can kind of, talk about Bigfoot for a minute. I mean, what do you guys need to hear about Bigfoot that you don't know already? It goes by a couple of different names here in Ohio. The Grassman is probably most affiliated with Ohio Bigfoot. The Minerva Monster, right? That was another one. Salt Fork has the big Ohio, the Ohio Bigfoot Conference every year. In Salt Fork State Park, which is where a lot of the sightings happen, which makes sense because Salt Fork is huge and connects to other huge, parks and natural areas and things like that. The famous Ohio Howl, that was caught on video a couple years back. It's allegedly
Mhm.
Bigfoot noises. Tons of Bigfoot. When I first started, I was actually digging into Helltown, Ohio, which we could talk about a little bit too. But that was like one of my first little projects. It seemed pretty big for Ohio, a big story for Ohio. And so when I was looking into it, I was looking for people that had sightings of just in general weird things in that area. And, I had a lot of ghosts and I had a lot of Satanist sightings, things like that, cult members and stuff. But what I did not anticipate was the over 200 Bigfoot reports from Cuyahoga Nature Reserve.
Oh,
And I was blown away by that. I
yeah.
really was, especially because, I'll put a call out for reports of things and you might get 5. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is wonderful. I think it was like 228 reports from just that area alone. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh my God, why is this not being touted around as a Bigfoot hotspot? Because it makes sense when you look at the demographic of, just the geography of that area. It makes sense for
Yeah.
Bigfoot to be in that area.
Yeah.
But I did not expect that at all. So, of course, I don't think there's one state that doesn't have Bigfoot in it. Except for
Right.
maybe New England. The New England area, I think, suffers a
Um,
little bit.
every state, I think, except Hawaii.
Hawaii would make sense, but they do
Yep.
have the Minahune in Hawaii, which are
Yeah.
more wild men than Bigfoot.
Okay.
So they have
Yeah.
something, I guess, kind of similar. Just depends on what you
Yeah.
think Bigfoot is.
That's
Um,
true.
and so, but yeah, New England doesn't really seem to have a lot, but I think they do still have Bigfoot reports. But it's also the most, the oldest colonized area. So Bigfoot probably
Hmm.
mostly moved out of that area
Moved away. Yeah.
while the
Yeah.
people were
The
moving
north woods of Maine do have some. If you consider that New England, I'm not sure, but I know the north woods of Maine have had sightings. Um, but yeah, like Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Yeah, not. I'm pretty sure there's been sightings in every state at
There have.
some point.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah, like you said, except for Hawaii, and but even Alaska. Alaska has this. They've made a whole show about it. So,
they did. Yes, yes, indeed.
so there's definitely Bigfoot all around. So yeah, of course we've got Bigfoot in Ohio. But I want to, we talked a little bit about him before, but let's get back into him. Let's talk about Mothman again.
Yeah,
God. A lot of people think Mothman and they think West Virginia, specifically Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
right.
But, what I have found is that, in my Mothman research, which I don't know if I'm an expert or anything, a lot of most Mothman reports from that time came from the Ohio area.
Hmm.
When the Silver Bridge collapsed and everybody wants to talk about that, most of the people that perished on the bridge that day were Ohio residents coming back
Hmm.
home.
Yep.
It's really downplayed the significance of Mothman in Ohio. The name Mothman comes from an Ohio journalist. It didn't come from anybody in West Virginia. It didn't come from John Keel.
Right.
It was a play on words because one of the witnesses said that they saw Batman, basically, and
Right.
so
Yep.
it was a joke, and they called it Mothman, and it stuck.
Hmm. Yeah, Mary
But
Heyer from Athens
yeah,
had been
mhm,
reporting on all these sightings, and she dubbed it the
the
Mothman.
Mothman, yeah.
Um,
And people, like I said, people just don't really talk about that. I don't know why. I don't know why we're not claiming him. I don't know why we're not putting on boxing gloves and fighting with West Virginia over who gets to have him,
right.
because we own it too.
Well, maybe we can start something. We're now starting a rivalry. Who owns Mothman? Is it West Virginia or Ohio? It's like the Wright brothers, first in flight. They
Oh
developed
yeah.
everything in Ohio, and then they went to North Carolina to actually fly the plane. So we've got like that little rivalry between states. So, Mothman kind of swooped into town from the east. If you look at the initial sightings in West Virginia, so I guess you can kind of say it landed in West Virginia initially, but then there were, of the hundreds of sightings that happened, after those first few days in November. And for people that don't know, Point Pleasant is on the Ohio River in West Virginia.
Yep.
And across the river is the state of Ohio, just for the people not in the area who might not know their. I'm happy to give a geography lesson as a geography major. It's my duty to make sure we're all informed. But yeah, Ohio's right there. And Gallipolis is the little town, however they pronounce it these days. Gallipolis.
I call it Gallipolis because I think it sounds cooler.
That is cool. And that's right there across the river. And in fact, if you're going to the Mothman Fest, you're probably looking for hotels in Gallipolis because
you'll be in Gallipolis.
Everything in Point Pleasant is booked, and everything in Gallipolis probably gets booked too for Mothman Festival weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and it's cool because I've explored the area a lot over the years. I don't get down there every year, but gosh, the last several years, I think I've been at least once a year over the last several years. And I've also been bringing maps down to Jeff. The Map in Black he sells at the gift shop, and he orders enough where it's worth it for me really just to drive them down rather than try to mail like big heavy boxes of maps. So any excuse to go there is pretty good, okay with me. And if I go, I'll usually grab a friend and be like, or a family member, and be like, hey, you want to come with me? And I'll show you around. And so the last couple of years, I've brought like 2 different friends. And it's not Mothman Festival weekend because that's nuts. You want to, if you really want to explore the town and the region, go on a different weekend. So
any other time.
Any time besides, go to the festival, but also go another time. And when you're the only one there, because it's a small little town. And if you go any other weekend, you're going to have the place to yourself for the most part. So I'll go, we'll look around the gift shop and we'll look around in the museum. And all the cool exhibits, and then we'll go have the Mothman pizza, and then we'll go out to the old TNT area that's now a state like nature preserve, and we'll go to the igloos where they had stored the dynamite, and that's a cool spot. Then I'll go across the river into Ohio, and we'll go down the Ohio side. And there's a huge power plant in a little town of Cheshire, which was built after the Mothman incidents. It was built in the 70s, but it was a very polluting power plant, and they ended up buying the town out because people were getting cancer so bad. And it's across the river and up from Point Pleasant. So
you can see it when you're in that area.
You do see the stacks in the distance. So they bought up most of the town. So I wanted to drive through the town. I think there's still a couple of houses and there's a post office, but for the most part, they've cleared the houses. So they've obviously cleaned up their smokestacks with newer rules. But then you continue down, and there's a rest area on the Ohio side, and there's a recreation of the I-bar that failed that caused the Silver Street Bridge to collapse. And there's a memorial on the Ohio side as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's at this little rest area on like State Route 7. Across from Point Pleasant. So there's things to do on both sides of the river. It's so people, maybe they're not as, I don't know, just not as glamorous, I guess, so to speak. The Cheshire has nothing to do with Mothman. I just think it's interesting. And if you're there, go drive through the town and look at the town that used to exist that's no longer there.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty to do outside of the festival. There's more to do outside of the festival than with the festival. So you should definitely, take
explore
the day
region.
trip.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. Well, I wanted to bring up something that I think people probably have never heard of. Because I'm the weirdo and I know too much about it. Jeff, you ever heard of the Freedom Demon?
No, I've not.
Well, you're familiar with Portage County, right? Because it has it's something major.
I am familiar with Portage County. They had a great UFO chase.
Yep, the big UFO chase
Yep.
that
Yep.
Steven Spielberg loved.
He probably used as real life sort of inspiration to put into Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah.
Absolutely. So between 2013 and 2015, Portage County had its own string of winged humanoid sightings.
Whoa.
And they dubbed this creature the Freedom Demon because a majority of the sightings happened in Freedom Township and Portage County.
Okay.
And basically, essentially the same thing. People were seeing this weird, all the Mothman things, dark humanoid figure with wings, huge, 7 feet tall, red eyes. And it was very, very consistent during that time period. And then right across the border there over into Pennsylvania, they had their own gargoyle sightings happening at the same time. So it is very interesting, how much. And of course, this is like on the opposite side of where Point Pleasant is, right? This is more
Yeah.
north. But yeah, it's just kind of a little known, flap that people don't really recognize. And they certainly are, they're not calling it the Mothman, so nobody's even thinking about that.
Yeah.
They're calling it a demon, the Freedom Demon, which
And
is a very American name.
Yes. Freedom.
Freedom, but coupled with the famous UFO chase, that happened through Portage County with the police officers, they chased this UFO all the way into Pennsylvania, where they couldn't really chase anymore. Yeah, I mean, this is a strange area for strange phenomena to happen. And I mean, I couldn't really think of where else to put this. It's not worth, I mean, I guess I could do a whole episode just going through the sightings and the details. But it's, same thing over and over again.
Yeah, so for 2 years it was a thing, and then no more. No, I mean, that's how Mothman was for the most part.
Yeah, and then people
a year and a half, 2 years, and then gone.
Yeah, it seemed to kind of, like I said, kind of follow this path, because you can kind of, well, you would like this, pinpointing the counties and just, or not the counties, but the cities where people were seeing it.
Location,
and how it led into Pennsylvania, and then they had their gargoyle sightings. But it's modern, like I said, 2013 to 2015. Which is not something that you, aside from the Chicago Mothman stuff, you don't really get a lot of modern day Mothman sightings.
No.
But the Freedom Demon in Ohio. So he lives, is how I'm gonna put it.
It just proves he liked the Ohio side of the river better.
See, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He decided to stay. Yeah.
Yep. He's still here. Because honestly, I haven't gotten a modern day Mothman sighting at a Point Pleasant ever. So I'm just saying.
I haven't either. If they're out there, they're not sharing it. But
yeah.
And
speaking of UFOs, of course, that's another big thing. We don't just have weird creatures. We have lots and lots of UFO activity.
So much. I couldn't even fit it all. It's like Bigfoot sightings. I had to pick and choose. Like, otherwise the map would fill up and you wouldn't even be able to read it. So a representative sampling of things. And I added UFOs to my map because, I mean, it's like the trifecta: hauntings, cryptids, and UFOs. Like, those are the three kind of categories that are weird things.
Well, and you can't, I mean, we're the home of Project Blue Book, and, people don't really, I don't think people often realize that. We've got Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is where Project Blue Book was stationed, right? So all of the work that they put into UFOs was right here in Dayton, Ohio. And, it's not for nothing. I mean, because we're also the home of a major military base, an Air Force base at that, there's going to be weird shit in the sky. And some of it's man-made, right? And so we're aware of that. Being someone who lives here locally, I see weird stuff in the sky all the time, and I have to try to figure out if it's, experimental, if it's, if it's beyond our science, right? And try to go from there. But yeah, of course, we're going to have, a lot of weirdness. And, I say, you sit out there and watch Ohio skies all the time. You'll see something eventually. It will happen. But I think that's
Yes.
true, again, for anywhere that you're located. If you're always
Yep.
watching the sky, then you're bound to see something that you can't explain. But I wanted to talk about a very specific incident that also I feel like does not get enough coverage and should. And this happened in March of 2006 in Centerville, Ohio. Centerville is, I live right on the border of Kettering and Centerville. So it's, really right in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a very strange event that happened very early morning, March 6th. The local police were getting tons and tons of phone calls coming in from a very specific, neighborhood in Centerville. And what people were saying is about 5:30 in the morning, people were saying, we need help. We need somebody to come out here. There is an alien ship outside and we need somebody. And it was like, what is going on? So, after a little while, of course, they went out there, and the local fire department was dispatched to that area as well. And so they went to go check it out because what people were reporting happening was a classic saucer that was hovering over top of the house, this massive saucer. And for whatever reason, whatever it was doing, is its presence or what have you, it was fucking with the power lines in that area. They didn't actually see the ship touching the power lines or doing anything, but they would feel changes in pressure in the general area, and they would see the lines arcing and sparking and causing power outages and stuff. And not just that, the trees in that area started to catch on fire, which is why the local fire department came out, of course. They experienced a decent sized outage. They definitely had some burnt up trees in the area, and eventually this craft just goes and fucks off into the night, right? It's got other things to do, so it's done messing with Centerville, Ohio. It's going to go mess with somebody else and leaves. And there's actually kind of a big cover up with this. So you had the firefighters come, and when they showed up, they reported that their gauges and stuff on their vehicles were, as they went crazy. They weren't working properly. They thought that was very odd. People were scared. People were very concerned with what they had just witnessed. You're talking a whole neighborhood of people that just experienced this together. And the police were like, well, we'll look into it. The fire department, after the firefighter guys were kind of freaking out because they were scared of what they were seeing and experiencing. The fire department put a hush on them and said that they could not speak publicly about what had happened because it was a matter for, guess what, the Air Force Base. They asked the local media to talk to the Air Force Base about it. And eventually what they came to the conclusion on was that, there were high winds that day, and this was just a transformer that blew and caused all these issues in this area. Despite the 50 witnesses that said otherwise, despite the weather notating that there was, in fact, no high winds that day. This was just high winds that caused... and despite the fact that there's no transformer in the area where the mass of the explosion of the trees on fire happened, there's no transformer there. And there's just never been any answers ever since then. And, like I said, this is interesting because you can go and FOIA. You can get the access to it now. But if you want to go all the way out, you can FOIA request the reports from that area. You can hear the phone calls. These were people that were genuinely terrified of what they were experiencing. So, a little known UFO story right out of Centerville, Ohio that just got buried, literally buried.
Yeah.
And there's tons of these across the state of Ohio. This isn't an isolated incident, and this isn't just one guy who saw something weird one time. It's a whole neighborhood, the fire department and the police department that all experience this weird thing. So
those are the stories that give credence. It's not just one guy. You got to take it or leave it, what they're saying. So to get multiple reports really ratchets it up the scale.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
of
So,
believability.
and I didn't know about that. I mean, the only reason I found out about that one was because I will frequently go into like my local like Facebook groups and I'll just ask people like, hey, have you ever experienced anything weird here? And, I've kind of become known as like, the local weirdo, which is beautiful. I love that for me. But yeah, it was one of the people locally, the neighbors that
Oh,
gave me that information, that told me
oh,
about it. And I was like, really? And so first they were just like, what about there was a UFO sighting in the Centerville Elementary School, whatever it's called. And,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, I was like, what? And for their story was like, yeah, they closed the school down and all the kids saw it, which was different from the actual report.
Okay.
But the actual report was even, to me, even more interesting because I did listen to the calls and they were calling it an alien ship. It was wild
Wow. Oof.
at
Yeah.
5:30 in the morning. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that one was cool. And like I said, I wanted to share stuff that people maybe haven't heard of or wasn't aware of in Ohio. So on top of all the books and all the fun things that you can purchase or all the things you could Google and read about Ohio, there's so much more to it. That I
There
mean,
is. And what else is, there's so much out there. And if you have stuff, let us know. I mean, I want to put it on the map, and I know you want to know about it. And
yes.
so reach out to Ashley and share your information because we want to know. We're
We
just,
want to know. Yeah.
yeah.
We live for that. Has anybody ever asked you to put something of theirs on the map specifically?
Um, Not like their house, but like even like at Fearsome Folklore, someone came up and they were looking at my maps and they were looking at something in Tennessee and like, oh, you don't have this castle or whatever they called it, or I think it was an inn or something. And like, well, tell me more about it. And they're telling me more, and I'm like, so can the public go and see it? And they're like, well, no, it's a private residence now. Maybe before it was the previous owner had done more public things with it, but they're like, oh no, people own it now and live there. So I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to put that on the map as much as I want to, because people will go there and they'll show up and they'll knock on the
They
door.
will. Yeah. Well,
And
I do. I mean, and I say people shouldn't, but then I do it, and it's like, well,
yeah, and well, I don't want to get in trouble. There was Mudhouse Mansion in Ohio, and it was an abandoned house southeast of Columbus, out in the middle of nowhere, just on a country road, and it was a dilapidated, I wouldn't call it a mansion, but an old home. And then the owner didn't live there, but maybe lived next door or across the street or something. And this place was just so well known and close enough to Columbus that I'm sure kids would go out on many a weekend and want to trespass and go inside. So they started like getting people arrested for trespassing, and then they started suing people for putting it in their books or wherever. And I don't know if they won, but you have to fight it.
yeah, right.
And I had it on my map. They never, like reached out to me or threatened me or anything, but it did get torn down like within the past maybe 5 or 6 years. So nothing is there now. So I did take it off my map, but I did like put a little point there on like former location of Mudhouse Mansion demolished in whatever year it was, 2018. I don't know, I can't remember the exact year, but because if people like don't know it was torn down, they still might be looking for it. Like, hey, do you have Mudhouse Mansion? I remember hearing about that when I was growing up. And so if they look for it and don't see it, they might think, oh, you don't have everything on this map. So it's still on there on the map to show that it used to be there. Because it was a pretty well-known kind of haunted spot for the kids to go to, I guess, and try to get a peek inside. And what's funny is when they tore it down as a joke, they with the crane there starting to tear it down. I don't know who did it, and you can see it if you Google it or maybe like in newspaper archives, there's like a sheet, a ghost, and they made a ghost out of a white sheet
Oh
in
my
the
gosh.
upstairs window. And I don't know if the owner did that because they didn't seem to be very like into wanting to keep this.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a new owner who tore it down. I don't remember the full story, but I do know that when it was getting torn down, someone put a ghost in the
Oh my
window.
gosh. That's what, but you should get into this. I mean, if, I'm not, it's up to people's discretion. It's their property. Yeah, but I think you should embrace things like that. There's another property that I want to talk about a little bit that's kind of, its existence is kind of a legend in and of itself. I want to talk about Gore Orphanage. I know you've heard of
Mm,
this.
I have, and I went there to check it out.
Well, that was my question because in researching, I've always heard of it. It's just not, it hasn't, I think it's further away. It's in like, where is it at? Vermilion, Ohio?
Yep. It's outside of Vermilion.
Which is a very metal name. And I think Slipknot has a song called Vermilion. And so
Oh yeah.
it reminds me of, it's a very, haunting name to begin with. Does it exist? Because I've heard rumor that it actually doesn't exist at all, but there's a building there that people have always called Gore Orphanage.
There was an orphanage. I don't think it was called Gore Orphanage. They kind of got morphed together. But there was an orphanage. It had people that lived there. And you can go, when I went, it's a very eerie area, which I think just gives it a natural credence for people to think this is a weird area, therefore something is off.
Sure.
So I parked and I walked in the woods a little bit. It's kind of overgrown now. And how did I know where to go? I don't remember. This is a long time ago, but I think I probably just found some directions and drove around and decided this was the best spot to look. So I was walking in this area a little bit kind of marshy, but there were trees and there were rocks that were just kind of, not a lot, but a couple of rocks would stick out of the ground. And it's kind of like this over at Moonville Tunnel too. That's hilly, but there's rocks sticking out of the hills. And I'm in both places. I'm looking for the existence of former buildings.
Sure.
Because Moonville was a little town, and it had a hotel, and it had a saloon, and a couple, general stores. So that have all vanished, and they were probably made out of wood, so they've easily since been decomposed and whatever. But Gore Orphanage had it was made out of stone, and so the rocks that I'm looking at, I'm trying to tell like if they were carved or not. Are they like the foundations of what this used to be? Because I just want to know if I'm in the exact right spot. I didn't have any like ghost hunting equipment. I wasn't going to like try to take readings or make any contact with anything or whatever. But so yeah, it's a spot, and I was never able to tell if like those rocks were like a foundation stone or just naturally occurring, because they had moss all over them, and they could, if they were foundation stones, they could have settled. Now they're tilted a little bit, so it was hard to tell. I kind of think that it may have been something there that is now long gone, but there's kind of a mix of kind of the telephone game where like there was an actual orphanage, but there's like no record of a fire because there was supposed to have been like a fire. The children died, and you can still hear their screams to this day.
Yeah, it's a really interesting like legend within a legend. And I thought that was pretty. I feel like I've never been there just because I've always felt like, oh yeah, there's nothing to it. But I mean, creepy area is a creepy area. I like a scenic view.
Yeah, it's a and that's what I love about going to these places because I just think as humans, our psyche, our sort of inherent feelings, the hairs in the back of our neck, get raised in certain environments for whatever reason as we evolve and trying to assess, is this a dangerous place and what is it about it that makes it dangerous? Some people are at home in the woods like me, but some people probably get freaked out in the woods. I don't know, but it just depends on the location. So this is a remote area. You kind of worked your way down like into a little bit of a valley because there's a river nearby, the Vermilion River, and then here's a bend in the road, so there's it's a bit of a wooded area, so you're out in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, you got to be careful. Just weird things happen when you're alone or out in the middle of nowhere. So your spidey senses are maybe a little bit more attuned, and so if you already hear stories of a legend or weird things happening, I think you're going to be looking for that more specifically. So anything you experience or see, you maybe automatically then just jump to maybe more conclusions rather than what get the facts first or something. So
Oh
yeah, Gore
yeah.
Orphanage is a great legend. It's up in north central Ohio, just south of Lake Erie, kind of between like Sandusky and Cleveland.
Yeah, it's kind like I said, kind of a legend, of its own. But I mean, that's a big one that a lot of people talk about, in the general area. I know that I said that we would talk about Helltown. I guess we will touch on that. I know people heard me just say Helltown, and for people that don't know, are probably like, "Well, I want to hear about that." Um, because it's called Helltown. It's cool.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Um,
that's the name. It's all about the
it's all
name.
about the name,
So
right?
I don't know how
Exactly.
it came up, but that certainly makes it like a spot that people want to know about.
And it's not even called Helltown actually. It's Boston, Ohio, or formerly Boston, Ohio.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
Boston Township,
yep,
and yep,
yep, in Boston Township. So this is north, way north. And I mean, the real story behind it is that the government wanted to purchase the land to make it convert it into part of the Cuyahoga Nature Reserve,
yeah,
and
National Park.
yeah,
Yeah.
into the national park there. And they had bought out the residents there, and the residents were upset about it. And this happened in like this was the 70s. And of course, these people had lived there their entire life. In fact, it was a thriving little area. It wasn't like it was a dilapidated town or anything. I mean, it was functional. And it was the oldest county in all of Ohio. So, people were upset about, getting rid of their history for trees and their family properties and things like
Hmm.
that. And so it
Yeah,
upset.
eminent domain, and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the government taking your land. Sure.
It upset a lot of people. And then, of course, because they just packed up and left, and then the government ended up not doing anything. I mean, that's insult to injury. Hey, could you please get the fuck out of your house? And then I'm just going to let it sit here and rot for 20 years.
Right.
Because that's exactly what happens. They ended up not really doing anything with it and just kind of let nature take its course. And so, because of the abandoned nature of it, people would go and explore, and it just kind
Hmm.
of became a very easy place for its own legends. And a lot of those
Hmm.
legends are like satanic cults and,
Yes.
ghosts, obviously. And then Travel Channel did a mockumentary about it, and ended up, I guess, creating a Wendigo legend in that area, which is even more
Wow.
absurd. There is no Wendigo in Northern Ohio, but that's that's what people think about it. It's not to
Yeah.
say that weird stuff doesn't happen up there, because it absolutely does. There are people that, you can watch different people explore that area even now. There's hardly anything there now. They've actually torn a lot of it down. And as a matter of fact, they have now started to build new houses with people living there in that area.
Mm. Hmm.
So if you do by chance go up there to explore it, don't just walk into people's fucking houses. They're not abandoned. People
Yes.
live there. Um, and be respectful of the area, of course. But there's like videos of people where like, I've seen it where there's this barn and, and there's like a modern lock on it, and like they'll shoot through a hole in the barn and there's like a noose in the middle of the barn and
Oh,
weird stuff like that. It's hard to know if that was set up by the person filming, because it definitely could have been, or what that is. But obviously, it's got its own bit of lore, and of course, that is where, I tell people all the time. I have a very impactful Mothman or winged humanoid encounter story from that area, which was terrifying to me. I'll tell it again. Why not? People are here to hear that type of thing. This gentleman who was a park ranger at the time in that area was tasked with, of course, going on his nightly routes and through the town and stuff like that, because people were pissed off and they were worried about the locals coming back and vandalizing the area. And so they would, of course, patrol the town itself. But when he came out of the town area, he was walking through the woods, the wooded area, and he came upon a giant fence. He said it was about a 10-foot tall fence, taller than he was. He had never seen it before, knew nothing about it. And as he follows the fence line area, he can see like flashes of light or something happening kind of in the center of, whatever was in that fence. And eventually comes up to a clearing and he sees what he describes. He calls it, he said it looked like Jeepers Creepers.
ooh.
And it was standing in the center, surrounded by men in like military uniform. And what he described was happening was he didn't know how to describe it, but all he could say is they were under some type of electrical attack from this creature.
Ooh.
And that's when he left, and he didn't just leave. He left all the way and went home and never went back again. And that was it. This is. And of course, an older gentleman that I sat down, that I talked to in person, that, as far as I know, I didn't know anything about him. I had just met him that day. Wasn't really into these topics, didn't really talk about these topics with people. I mean, it seemed genuine as it could be. And it scared the shit out of me. As a very new investigator, I was terrified.
Yeah. Like, what am I getting myself into?
Yeah, but of course now I've told that story 1,000,001 times, and I've never had any Men in Black at my door or anything, so who knows? It's a very weird one. But really, aside from that, though, everything else, it just seems, hey, abandoned town, great breeding ground for urban legend, folklore.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it is. It's very uneventful, I promise.
It is. And James Willis, I don't know if he still has it on the Ghosts of Ohio website, but he kind of debunked the Helltown hauntings through, again, just doing a lot of deep diving and finding this firsthand research. So again, you've got this area kind of like Gore Orphanage. It's remote. It is scenic. It's now part of the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. But yeah, they let the buildings just sit there for years before they actually, maybe they're waiting to get every building under their jurisdiction before they demolish it. I'm not sure, but so for years people are like, why is this area like unpopulated? Like, did something happen to the people? Or
Yeah.
There was legends of like a dump, and there was a dump that was like releasing poisons into the environment, and they cleaned that up. But that also gave a little bit more credence to like the Peninsula Python story, which was this giant, snake that they said came out of the dump, which is always a great origin story. They come out of some sort of man-made environmental sort of disaster. And you hear that sometimes with Mothman because of like the TNT plant. And even Frogman, they had the cartridge factory right up the river on the Little Miami that sat there abandoned for 50 years, not 50, 30 years, that had formerly made all of this ammunition. And it was actually is a haunted spot because there was an explosion and people did die there. At one point when it was an active factory making munitions, for the military. So, I think a rail car was involved because the railroad used to go along there, along the Little Miami River, which is now a great bike path. But you can go there now and visit that same area and see that it's been revitalized as apartments and a brewery.
Oh,
So, because we were going to go there for the after party, remember the Cartridge Brewing?
oh yeah, we were there. Yeah, it is a
Yep.
very industrial looking area.
It is, and it was a munitions factory. But so they've got the dump up there in in the peninsula, the area that known as the peninsula, or that's like a township up there around Helltown. So yeah, there's no actual proof that there's no where did the ghost come from or what was actually haunting this place. So it just was an urban or rural legend, I guess you could call it.
Sure.
And I was there a couple years ago. I was visiting some buddies from college. One of them lives in Akron, so we went up to Cuyahoga Valley Park, and I'm like, I gotta find this Helltown. So I have it on my map. So I used my own research of how I described it, and actually went there for the first time in person just a couple years ago. And there is a road that is closed to traffic. So we stopped a vehicle where the road is blocked, and I stopped and got out, and I walked around the barricade. And you're allowed to walk in there. They just don't want traffic.
Right, it's a park. I mean, it's public property.
Yeah, and the street is paved, but they've blocked it off to traffic. But you can go around and walk in there. So I walked down a good ways and just kind of looked around. And I didn't see any houses; they've been torn down. But when you go back and to the main road, there are houses, kind of scattered around because the park boundaries just kind of go in and out of this area. So they've, there's little stores, and it's a quaint little area. So yeah, I mean, if you go check it out, enjoy a nice hike in the park, and go see where the supposed Helltown was. You walk down. There's a white church. I don't know if it's like a Presbyterian church. That I think people used to think it was satanic.
Yep.
But it's an active church. But yeah, you can go down this road and see where Helltown was supposed to have been.
There's a ski resort up there too.
Skiing, Ohio skiing.
Yep, there's a ski resort right there. So, I mean, gosh, it can't be too evil of a place if many family members come and enjoy skiing, a couple times a year.
Yeah.
In the area. So, yeah, that was actually probably the most anomalous part of it all was to find that there's a ski resort in Ohio. I had no clue.
We're not known for our skiing too much.
Not at all. So I was like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing. But yeah, it's like I said, it sounds a lot cooler than it is. But you can still definitely go and check it out just because. Again, there is still value to go see these things. And there are tons of Bigfoot reports in that area, so you might see Bigfoot. So there's that.
You might. Yeah.
A couple of other things, of course. Waynesville, Ohio, has got a lot of different lore to it. That's where the Crosswick monster, one of my favorite Ohio historical stories, is from, which was basically a giant. Some type of giant reptile.
Reptile or snake or something,
Something that tried to snatch up, actually did snatch up one child that got freed, and the whole town, a whole angry mob went after it and chased it off.
Yep.
Much like the Van Meter visitor, they chased it off in like a little cave, and then nobody ever saw it ever again. But that was Waynesville, Ohio. Waynesville also not Waynesville, Germantown, which all these little areas, I mean, these are all like little rural areas, kind of like the Dayton area. Germantown has their Dogman, which became, I would say, significantly more popular after Small Town Monsters featured it in their American Werewolves documentary. But they've called it the Beast of Butter Street is what they've called it. And I've been on Butter Street. I've been up and down Butter Street asking people about their beast. And Nobody's ever heard of it. So that's interesting, but
Yeah.
that's what happens. But I've certainly heard reports of from other people traveling to that area. That whole little area. I mean, this was where we would go and like joyride around that area as
Did you?
kids, and yeah, and I mean, we saw some weird things, a time or two, never like a werewolf or anything like that. But we think we saw somebody dumping a body out there one time. And,
Whoa.
yeah, we tried to call the police and, give them directions to that area. But we didn't know where we were. This was before,
Hmm.
GPS and stuff. We had
Hmm.
cell phones, but we just kind of knew the area
Yeah.
because we were there a lot. And,
They weren't smartphones.
no. And so, but oddly enough, the last month, there's been a major story coming out where they did actually find, sadly, a woman who was dead
Hmm.
in like a big giant plastic tote, on that road, on the same road that we called in and reported about.
Wow.
Um, I don't think Dogman put her there. I think they've arrested the people who did, but
Uh,
yeah, I mean, there is a lot of strange happenings in general. I mean, it is a great place to dump a dead body because it is very rural and desolate, and
it is.
you
It's
know,
just like outside the Dayton
yeah,
sort of suburban sprawl. I did my student teaching in Germantown. I was my undergrad at Miami was in education, and then so you have to do a semester of student teaching. And I had a friend from that area, and he recommended Valley View schools. So I did uh, like 6 or 7 weeks at the junior high, and then 6 or 7 weeks at the high school. And it's two little towns, Farmersville and Germantown, make
yeah,
up like the Valley View schools. So that gives you an idea. We're talking about a town called Farmersville.
yeah,
So there's a reason
yeah,
they call it that because it's farmers.
yeah.
Um,
It's very different from Dayton proper.
it is. It is. Little town. It's a quaint little town. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I think there's a restaurant there that's haunted too that I have on my map. And the issue with restaurants is they often change names uh, very frequently and or go out of business.
Yeah.
So that's always tough to like keep track of the restaurant. And COVID of course had a
Oh, yeah.
huge toll on restaurants closing and stuff.
Yeah, it's a strange. It is a strange layer, and you go out there and it feels weird, But I don't know if that's because you're told it's supposed to. Um,
Yep.
I've never been without influence, so I didn't just go there one day just because and was like, "Oh, it's a weird
Hmm.
place." I mean, I went because it was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one. The Defiance Dogman is also another Dogman story. The Defiance Dogman is different from like Michigan Dogman or Beast of Bray Road because this guy was trying to kill people with a 2x4.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it's a
The
weird thing.
Defiance Werewolf or Dog Man.
Yeah.
And little town again in the middle of nowhere up in northwestern Ohio, kind of close to Toledo, but not real close. Like that nearest big town between like Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Toledo. And
Yeah.
you can go back and archive the newspapers, and there's an article or articles about people seeing this creature, and the paper wrote up an article about it.
Yeah, that's werewolf, right? Carrying a board,
Hmm.
brandishing a weapon.
Yeah.
It was, very strange. And I've talked to some people in the area that say they've seen it, and it's like, well, I don't know what to make of something like that. That is very unusual,
The newspaper was like early
Yeah,
70s, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
So
yeah.
people are more recently still.
No, not recently. This
Okay.
was somebody from that area at that time who says that they saw it with their father, them and their dad, and they were,
Mm.
they were a kid, and
Hmm.
it was a scary experience. But it came and ran out at their vehicle, driving down the road with its board. He said it was wearing and it says it sounds crazy, but it was wearing flannel. It was wearing a flannel.
He turned
And
into a werewolf. That's
that's
what he had
what
been wearing as a human.
that's what they wear is flannel. No, the human version, he was wearing a business suit, and then all of a sudden he turned into the werewolf, and the clothes changed too. So, um, So I don't know. Like I said, that one's very strange. I don't know what to make of it. We have a lot of these just weird little, flap type of stories that pop up just all
Yeah.
over. I mean, talk
Yep.
to the locals and just ask them what weird things happen here. And some of them will look at you sideways and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Or sometimes they'll say, well, I saw Bigfoot, and they'll, just be so excited that someone wants to hear it, that
Hmm.
they'll just
Yeah.
start telling you. It is, it's Ohio. It's a very
It
interesting
is.
part of the world.
It is. Really is.
And then, of course, big stuff too. Ohio University, and the Ridges, right? The
Yeah.
old insane asylum that was
Yep.
there, and
Hmm.
the cemetery. I've been to the cemetery. I haven't actually
Hmm.
explored proper, but we did go one night,
Mm.
and it was
Hmm.
strange, but it was neat actually. We went. They have a big observatory up there, and we went to the observatory, and that was a lot cooler than the cemetery that we saw. But the cemetery's there, and you can explore that. You can book tours.
Yes. Yep.
Um, Ohio State Reformatory, that's a huge one. That's cool
Yep.
just to go see because, they filmed Shawshank Redemption there.
Right.
People have
Yep.
filmed music videos there. I mean, it's a whole,
Yes.
spectacle.
Air Force One with Harrison Ford, one of your favorite actors.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite actor. Yep.
He Han Solo.
Yep. That's
He
my
he
favorite.
he. They filmed when the Russian general is getting out of prison. It's supposed to be like a Russian gulag. They used Mansfield Reformatory.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you do the tour, you'll see in one of the rooms um, a picture of like Stalin or Lenin or one of these Russian folks that they have up there. That was part of the movie prop for Air Force One. When the Russian guy gets out of jail, like that picture is apparently in the background. I can't remember. I've seen the movie, but it's been a long time. I have to go back and watch it again to look for that scene that they shot there. So yeah, it's just I don't know who the actor is that plays the Russian person, but offhand, it may be someone famous. I just don't remember. All I remember is Harrison Ford being in that movie. So, but yeah, so Mansfield Reformatory is a great spot. You can go anytime and do self-guided tours, or like you can do sign up and do an official tour. You can get a group together and like do an overnight, and it's I think like the largest freestanding cell block like in the country. Like it's like 5 or 6 stories of cell
Yeah, it's
blocks.
massive.
Yes, and to go and look inside the jail cells, all the paint is peeling, but you still see the bunks and the sinks and the toilets. It is.
Imposing.
It is. It's keeps me on the straight and narrow.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a good, and it's relatively cheap to go. It's really not,
Yeah, for like a self-guided tour, it's a
yeah,
couple bucks if you want
yeah,
to do it that way, and you can just walk around and get like headphones, or you can read the signs that they have.
yeah.
And they almost tore that down because they built a new prison right behind it, like a new modern one. And they were going to tear it down, and then Shawshank people came in and was like, we want to film the movie here before you tear it down. And they're like, okay. So they filmed the movie, and then they decided not to tear it down. So we're lucky that it's still there. But go and check it out because they need probably our support to help keep it up and going.
Oh yeah,
And
and they do
if they
a lot
tear
of
it
stuff
down,
there.
they do.
Festivals, and they're of course during Halloween. They've got a lot of cool things going on. They turn it into
Yeah.
like a real haunt, like a a boo haunt.
Yeah. Yep. But there's also like a huge rock festival there,
Yeah, they do a lot of really cool
like
stuff
a
there, and
weekend rock concert
yeah.
with all kinds of big name bands, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Fun fact, I guess. Fun for me. Hopefully, it's fun for you. My dad went to the new Mansfield prison. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Served about 6 months there.
Okay, I was going to say he went there as willingly or
As a prisoner.
not?
Yeah. No,
Yes.
he went there in prison. It was good. It was actually the better prison that he had been to from all the prisons he
He gave that one 5 stars on
Yeah,
Yelp.
yeah, that one was a good one.
Okay.
But I've been there. I've been to the new. I've never been to the original Mansfield. But I have gone to the new Mansfield.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, the Ohio State Reformatory, whatever they call it,
Yeah.
And the old ones just they call it the kind of I don't know what they call it officially, the Mansfield Reformatory or uh, the Ohio State Reformatory. I'm not sure what they call it.
Yeah, so I think the old one is Ohio State Reformatory. The new one's Mansfield Prison.
Okay,
And then, Ohio State Reformatory. Or
and
Mansfield Correctional Facility, rather.
yes,
You know.
and if you go, you're not allowed like to bring. You're not allowed like any flashlights. Like if you stay the overnight or because there are parts of the old prison when you're touring around, like you can look out a window and see the new prison, and they're worried that like you could flash like signals to the people at the new prison, like I'm gonna break you out, or I don't know what they're worried about. But so just be aware that you're kind of right on the edge of some
Like a real
highly
prison, yeah.
secure area, and you can't mess around too much. So don't flash any your phone, your camera light, or any other flashlights if you're out there in the middle of the night out the windows pointing towards the new prison.
You don't want to send the prisoners the wrong signal. That's what we're saying. It is a minimum security prison, so it's not like they're super dangerous.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so just
Yeah.
saying, they're still in prison. I mean,
Yeah.
and then there's Serpent Mound. Talk about all the Native American culture in Ohio. So much. Serpent Mound is a really strange place with a lot of strange happenings. We don't really know why there is a giant serpent in the earth. Well, it was made by the indigenous folk in the area, but there's a lot of speculation as to why. On top of the multiple earthworks and mounds in the general area, there's one right by me, Miamisburg Mound.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
That's a big one. And there was a weird, for a while, there was a story of a weird creature by the Miamisburg Mound. People were describing like kind of like a wild man, but a wild man that had been burnt.
Oof.
Yeah. Roaming the area.
That's a new twist. Okay.
A burnt wild man running around the area. So that's, another little local lore, aside from just the, massive stairs that you have to climb to get to the top of the mound.
You do. You can climb to the top. Yeah.
And then Fort Ancient in Ohio. There was, kind of a recent Bigfoot report in that area. Well, about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think Matt Moneymaker may have been instrumental in that story.
Yeah, that was reported through the BFRO right there on the bike path. We went and checked it out, of course.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. And
that's right on the Little Miami River.
It is. Yeah. I had no idea that Fort Ancient was even a thing. We just went out there to go check out the Bigfoot report, and then we happened upon this neat museum about the earthworks, and we went and checked it out. And so we went to the museum first. We're like, well, it was a lot of fun, and it was really cool. And at the end, we're talking to the ladies there at the museum, and we told them, well, originally we came out here because there was a Bigfoot report, and guess what? The one woman goes, "Oh, yeah, I've seen it," and then tells us her Bigfoot sighting. Yeah, in the area, crossing the road.
Cool. Wow.
So we didn't find Bigfoot or evidence of Bigfoot walking the bike path, but we ended up having to leave because we spent too much time at the museum. So,
and then they were closing.
But it's close enough. It's like 40 minutes away, so it's I could go back and. But no, just the earthworks in general. A lot of speculation. Nobody really knows. When people think of like the Native Americans, there's like the Native Americans that we all kind of know and are a little educated about. And then there's the people before them that not a lot is really known about just because they're such an old civilization. And that's where the earthworks and the mounds come from.
Right.
And so, and a lot of them were taken down, taken apart. So they are, there used to be tons scattered throughout the area. But
Thousands.
there's not, And now there's like less than 100 in Ohio. And it's, they've kind of excavated some of them, but before they really knew what they were doing. And so preserving even the stuff that they dug out of them is like a rare occurrence. So
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and of course we name them. They're ancient cultures, the Hopewell and the Adena culture, that are kind of predate the modern Native American tribes that we know. These are their forebears, but they are long ago in history, and so we give them these modern names based on, like, I think Hopewell was a family and Adena was a family, so we give them like modern European names for these ancient cultures.
yeah.
Depending on the time frame the mounds were built, they might be considered Hopewell culture or Adena culture, based on different ways that they built the mounds and the earthworks. And then, as Europeans came and settled the area, they saw these enclosures, and they called them forts because they just, based on European sort of mentality, figured they were building these as forts, as protective, but they were not forts.
No.
Fort Ancient is not a fort, it's a ceremonial location. And there's Fort Hill over in Highland County, that's out where I used to live, and it's essentially an enclosure on top of this hill, that again, American settlers came and saw this enclosure and figured it must have been a fort at the top of a hill, so they called it Fort Hill. And later on, as we did archaeology and learned more about it, we realized that these were probably ceremonial locations and just communal gatherings. So we continue to call them forts, but they weren't really forts. So Fort Ancient is great. It's right off I-71 in southwestern Ohio. Like you said, the museum is great. You can walk around and see some really cool earthworks that they've built and preserved. And actually, the road, State Route 350 that goes by, actually they had to cut through like one of the earthworks. So you're driving along, you see this earthwork. It's like a big ditch or a big dike, and then it stops for the road to go through, and then continues on the other side. So they had to like bulldoze through to get this road to go through, which is unfortunate. And like you said, so many of them have been plowed over for agriculture. The Octagon earthworks east of Columbus is becoming like a World Heritage Site, and will get more protection because right now there's a golf course going through these earthworks. So it's really unique. It's a unique aspect that Ohio has that a lot of other states do not. Other states do have mounds and earthworks, but we have such a large concentration, especially in south central Ohio, Chillicothe, Ross County, over towards Marietta. Anywhere there's bodies of like usually rivers, they often are located near rivers, because those were natural highways for people to travel up and down, and important for people to be able to drink water and wash their clothes and stuff. So Indian Native American settlements were near water and large rivers. So naturally, you're going to find a lot of these earthworks around and along rivers, and like the Scioto River and the Little Miami and the Great Miami had huge earthworks and enclosures all along them that have been unfortunately lost to history because of human settlement patterns and housing developments and golf courses and agriculture and you name it. So the fact that we've been able to preserve what we have is great. And there's one group that is continuing to use modern technology, including LIDAR, which is sort of like radar, but it's with light, and they shoot it into the ground, and they can tell, based on the disturbances in the ground, the shape of what the earthworks used to be. And so they're preserving some of these, especially in Ross County, and it's a group called the Arc of Appalachia that kind of buys land and preserves it. But they're also preserving some of these earthworks. And there's one called the Junction Earthworks where they've allowed the grasses to grow higher where the earthworks were. So, and then you can like kind of walk through and see how it would have looked based on just how tall the grass is and the weeds and the plants that they've allowed to grow there. So we're continuing to evolve and use our technology and the best we can to understand this, but there's so much we don't know. Why did they create Serpent Mound, the largest effigy mound in the world?
Yeah.
This figure shaped like a snake out in the middle of Adams County, and it's it's one of, I think, the most unique things probably in the country.
Yeah.
A snake.
And it's huge.
It's huge. It's the largest in the world, and we have it here in Ohio. So yeah, if people come to Frogman Fest, you're asking like, what can they do? Go to Fort Ancient on the Sunday that you have open, and go to the museum or drive out to Serpent Mound. It's maybe an hour east of Frogman Festival.
Yeah.
And again, check their hours, because the hours, especially in the wintertime, may be a little iffy. But if you can get to visit Serpent Mound, there's a little museum. They've got some signs around the Serpent Mound. There's a trail that goes right around the mound. The snake, please don't walk on it. They tell you not to walk up on the grass and stuff to help preserve it. But there used to be a tower, and you could walk up and get an aerial view of looking down at the snake. From what I understand, the tower is not accessible right now.
Aww.
So I don't know if they're repairing it or if it was a little shaky. I don't know if you ever went out there and looked at it, but it was just kind of this open air, like ladder, tower sort of structure. So I don't know if they want to build a better one, or if they don't want people getting an aerial view at all. I don't know what their plan is, but just know that you might not be able to get that view if you've seen it like in other places. Make sure just you have your expectations set for when you go out there.
Yeah, it's and it is I believe it is Native American owned. So in Serpent, because I remember there was some drama going on during the pandemic because it was closed.
Yeah, it's not. It's owned by the state of Ohio.
Oh,
and
really? Oh,
yeah, it was bought by Harvard University to preserve it, because it was going to is under some danger of being plowed over for agriculture. So they bought it, but then they bequeathed it to the state of Ohio in perpetuity, so it would always be there. So the state runs it. There's been some controversy with how it's run and how it's interpreted. People have different opinions on how old it is and who built it. So I know some Shawnee tribes members have come out to try to be involved in various ways, because it's probably their ancestors who were involved in creating part of it. It may have been created over decades and centuries. It wasn't just let's build this over Labor Day weekend. I mean, this thing may have evolved over centuries as a feature. I don't know. I don't know. Anyone who knows, I don't know how they know, because no one's there. No one wrote it down. So if people are telling you this is how it was, that's just their opinion, and it may be a very valid opinion and based on the best knowledge that we have right now. But we were always going to have a little bit of just unknown answers to some of these things.
Wow. I see. Yeah, and obviously I didn't know either, so I thought it was, but
not Serpent Mound, no.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and that's I'm not going to get political with it, but whatever.
Sure.
Either way, the point being of the entire episode is: listen, if you're looking for something weird and you're looking to come to Ohio, there's something weird almost everywhere you turn.
You don't have to look far. Nope.
You can definitely find, your own brand of strangeness, whatever it is, whether it be hauntings or aliens or, frogmen or whatever. There's certainly something here for everybody. So
there is, and there's tours. I have friends who get a booth for Frogman every year who run tours in Columbus. I've not been on them personally, but they offer these tours, whatever kind of walk around at night, I know that there are similar tours in Cincinnati. I have been on one many years ago. I don't know if it's the same people that are still doing it, but there are some tours you can do in Cincinnati. I'm sure there's probably some in Cleveland. Most big cities have tours, especially around Halloween.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of these big cities, they'll have them like throughout the year, maybe just on weekends, throughout the year. But you can always look into that aspect as well. And that's always something I kind of research if I go to a new city. Like, what tours do they have? Whether I go on it or not, I'm just curious, like, if the city offers them and how often are they? Are they nightly? Or are they just on the weekend? Are they just during the spooky season? Because that just helps me get an idea for, like, how they embrace it and how people interact with our haunted world.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, everything's got a price. I will tour you personally in any of these
Okay.
places if you want me to.
Does
Um,
Dayton have tours? Like, do they
oh
offer
yeah,
them in
absolutely. We've got
the ghost?
the Woodland Cemetery. Right.
I did a tour there. It
Yeah.
wasn't a haunted tour, but it was just a historical tour.
Yep, Woodland Cemetery has a lot. It's well, first of all, it is the highest peak in Dayton, Ohio, so it's all
Oh,
built into a hill. So
mm,
if you go to the very top, they have a beautiful like gazebo, and I say that,
mm,
but I mean it's huge, and
mm,
people will rent it out and get married and stuff there.
mm-hmm.
But if you go to the very top, you can see all of Dayton. It's
Cool.
very very interesting, and of course they have their
Yeah.
own. Ghost stories. There are tons of ghost stories, tons of different graves have different, some of their own little stories associated with
Yes.
them. There's
Yep.
the famous boy and the dog grave.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
the boy drowned. Unfortunately, he died, but the dog did jump in and save him, and then the dog continued to stay at his grave until the dog passed. Um,
Johnny Morehouse.
yep, you're right.
Yep. And if you hold your hand over his no, there's a statue of the dog next to
hmm
the boy.
It's a
And
it's a statue of the dog and the boy. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
and if you hold your hand over the dog's nose, you can feel it breathing.
yes.
It's alive.
I've been harassed by lots of ducks and geese in that area, so watch out for them too. They're demonically possessed. Um, I've taken many goth girl photos at that cemetery, so
Ah, nice. Yes.
it's great for that too.
Yep.
That's your thing.
Every Ohio big city has the Gothic cemetery.
Yeah.
Woodland and Dayton. In Cincinnati, it's Spring Grove, which has a
Yep.
couple haunted stories. Cleveland has Lakeview. I think it's Lakeview Cemetery, which has like Elliot Ness is buried there, and a lot of other famous people.
Yep.
But like in Victorian times, they went all out on these cemeteries, and they bought huge tracts of land, and people, all the big wigs wanted to be buried there, so they built huge mausoleums. So they're really cool places to
Oh,
tour,
yeah.
just for like history, and a lot of them are arboretums.
Oh, yeah.
And Columbus has Green Lawn Cemetery, so it's a cool part of Ohio history as well, and they all have a ghost story or two. So if cemeteries are your thing, and you're in a big city, you're not far from being able to go experience something.
Yeah, something strange. Cemeteries are. I like some. I mean, I think they're neat. I go and hang out at them sometimes. And that's
Hmm.
sounds weird, I guess, to maybe some people, but it's not. It's
Not a
not.
big surprise, I think for most of us that you feel that way. I've spent many a time in a cemetery myself. I don't feel like it's weird. Um, they're mostly peaceful places. I mean,
They are. Yeah.
things, people where people die, and and where they lived is often where the haunts are, and it's not necessarily the cemetery because that's where they're be laying peacefully. But there are some stories that do involve cemeteries, so for whatever reason. But yeah, for the most part, you think with all the people there, the dead people, there would be more maybe than there really are. But there are some,
Oh
and
yeah.
there's some good ones.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just like to go and look at the headstones. Some of them, especially now, people get really creative with it, and they share whole stories about these people.
Yeah, and the portraits, it's like, someone, with
Yeah.
their standing in front of their pickup truck or something. Like,
Right.
yeah, they do a lot more. Like, I think technology allows us to whatever paint or carve into, the stone maybe uh, with more artistry.
Yeah, it's very. I saw this like a post on Facebook about this one gravestone. It's not in Ohio. It's somewhere else, but it's this like young guy who I think he was killed in like a car accident or something. But his whole gravestone is it's a phone. It's an iPhone.
Oh, wow.
Like in it's a stone iPhone with like an actual like picture of him. It's full color and everything, and then it has like apps and stuff on it, which is hokey and silly, and it is, and I agree because it's got like the McDonald's app on it, the Starbucks app, and it's like
Oh, my gosh.
but that's I would love to go see that. I mean, but it's huge. It's a huge iPhone.
Huh.
Yeah, it's people do some really interesting stuff in their grief, or in their death. I don't know if you requested it or what, but it's
Yeah.
really interesting,
Yeah.
situation. But if you don't go and read these things, I mean, my gosh, that's how I was able to, come across the Jack Overby, alien case because he wrote it on his gravestone. I mean, and
Hmm.
if he hadn't, that story would be lost to time.
That's amazing. Wow.
And right. And everybody talked about it because they go and they see it and they never knew what it was about, but you can find stuff like that, locally go to your local cemetery and tell me what weird headstones you have there. I'm sure there's plenty.
Hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to keep you forever. I mean, I do, but I don't, it's one of those things. I want to go outside and enjoy this beautiful day. So,
Yes.
where can people, Jeff, where can people find you, follow you? What should they be paying attention to, especially with these Frogman Festival updates? I mean, they follow me and I'll post them, but you're
Yeah.
the direct mouth. So,
Yeah, on Instagram you can find Frogman Festival, and that'll be information mostly about the festival. Once in a while there'll be, I'll share stuff, but what other friends are doing with their festivals or vendors and podcasts and just, relevant news to kind of this whole field. So that's Frogman Festival. Also on Facebook, there's a Frogman Festival page like that you can follow, and then there's also an event page for the next Frogman Festival on Facebook, and then there's just a good old website, frogmanfestival.org. And if you want to find me, you can go to celticmaps.com and order the Hidden Ohio map, and if you go to mapinblack.com, you can order the map in black, which is the national map that has all the hauntings and other things. Out of stock at the moment, so I removed the link on Map in Black, but I will be printing more within the next month or so. And I've got a few on hand that I bring to my events to sell in person, but I don't want to sell them online and run out and not be able to get one to somebody. So be patient for that to get reprinted. It's a whole process. It's a whole thing. And so that's kind of my social footprint that I have out there.
sure. And I feel that so hard. This Mothman Festival prep has been tough because I'm like, I need to hang on to every book that I have right now so that I can bring it with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel your pain. That's for sure. And of course, you can see Jeff at many, many, many of these events. He attends a lot of them. He's a vendor at a lot of them, speaker at some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So let him know that you heard him on the podcast, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and then maybe he'll give you probably not a free map, but at least a stern handshake. Um,
Happy to shake hands and high fives and fist bumps and monkey claws. If you don't know what that is, ask and I'll tell you.
he'll demonstrate.
Yes.
That sounds good. Well, thank you again for coming on and filling the space with me.
You're welcome. Happy to.
Appreciate
It's
the
always
heck
fun
out
to
of you.
chat, and we live very close by, but just don't always have a chance to interact. So I'm glad to be able to catch up and let everybody listen in on our chat.
Absolutely. And so, for everybody else, we'll see you guys back here next Wednesday.